He informs his classmates that the beastmaster exam is less than a week away, and the qualification assessment will be held tomorrow. He stands at the blackboard and explains the material, and 3 students listen carefully to him in class. He says that the beastmaster exam is coming up soon and he is nervous, to which she replies that who knows how it will actually be. He confidently says that his goal is the Academy of the Beast Lords in Ningjiang, and that he can easily enter a normal school due to his abilities. He worries about the exam, sitting at his desk while another stands nearby and a third watches from the window. Linz looks away thoughtfully, one hand resting on his cheek, silently thinking about his life. He falls into a glowing portal and reflects that there will be a qualifying test soon, but does not understand what this has to do with him as a time traveler. He says that a week ago he moved through time and space into this body and through his memories realized what kind of world it is. Hundreds of years ago, during the catastrophe, ferocious beasts emerged from the dimensional rifts, hunting and destroying humanity, causing everyone a lot of suffering. A fiery phoenix attacks a monster with red eyes, and a man in a raincoat controls the fire in the middle of a destroyed city. A man and a woman summon magical creatures, an ice dragon and a fire wolf. And the text tells about the birth of the profession of a beast tamer. He explains that in the age of beast taming, tamers became symbols of status and rank. The huge creature explains that by becoming a master of beasts, you can enter the elite of society as long as you hold a glowing object in front of you. He explains that people over the age of 14 can make a contract with the first beast, and the soul power determines the level of the pet while the 2 in suits listen to it. He explains that the previous owner of the body before time travel had already been infected by his first beast. He explains that the snowball is harmless to humans and animals and can only look cute. He reflects on the fact that this creature is not deadly and cannot evolve, and wonders if he will now become an ordinary person with a mediocre life. He says that it doesn't matter if he becomes a beastmaster, you can just be an ordinary office worker, and adds that you don't have to take any risks. He laughs and says that it doesn't matter if the other person becomes a beastmaster, the worst thing is to sell ice cream at the entrance of the mall. It monitors messages about the completion of charging and successful activation of the achievement system. He happily exclaims that the divine sound is great and his golden finger has finally appeared. He learns his basic characteristics and pet by observing the information on the holographic screen. The screen explains that achievement points can be used to improve animals and skills, and he admires the system's capabilities. He suggests choosing a pet named Little Snowball, describing its characteristics and abilities. He explains that when 100% growth is achieved, evolution will occur. He reflects on 2 paths of evolution, the giant one, which enhances melee combat, and the royal one, which improves magic abilities, while noting that Little Snowball was unable to evolve. He is surprised to suggest that there may be a hidden evolutionary path ahead of him. He is concentrating on controlling the energy coming out of his hand, creating a glowing electric effect. He enthusiastically holds a glowing orb, and a powerful spirit appears behind it, explaining that the queen can evolve to the rank of king if the conditions are met. He decided to use achievement points first to improve Little Snowball. He completed the quest and received achievement points and spirit crystals. He uses achievement points by pointing his hand at a glowing object in front of him. He watches as the creature inside the glowing ball levels up and reaches rank 1 with a 23.48% growth. The creature glows and smiles, and an inscription about successful evolution appears above it. He holds a glowing skull and notes that he has spent 77 achievement points, and there are 23 remaining. He holds a glowing creature and says that his pet class can't be considered an injustice, despite the short-term effects. He reflects on the need to prepare the ice element essence and spirit of jade, noting that evolution is the best path, even though it is expensive and unusual for a small creature. He says he will go for the money first and then to the pet store for evolution materials, while the other one leaves the room. He smiles and explains how to control the electrical energy coming out of his hand. With bright red eyes and a malicious smile, he asked what was said, clearly annoyed. He confidently says that who is the trash here will become clear by the results of the final exam of the Beast Lord. 2 of them laugh, and one of them says that it's not worth going to the Beastmaster exam tomorrow because it's impossible to pass it. He looks at her in the empty classroom, where she is standing by the window, and in the background, 2 people are walking down the hall. It strictly warns you not to go too far. He said with a smile that he wouldn't go too far because he was afraid of this garbage, and the other person replied approvingly, "Good, good." He smiles, and she looks at him with interest, while the three men watch them from afar. She calmly agreed, saying, "Okay." He stands outside the building and asks why the materials of evolution are so expensive. He stands in the alley and says that months of savings were spent in one moment. She asked An Ning if he wanted to go to her house for dinner since her mom had invited him. She told him that there would be an examination for the title of Beast Tamer tomorrow and asked if he would go with her. She is happily surprised and says that this is great. He said it was time to go and take care of himself, and she said yes and waved goodbye. He sits on the couch and warns that leveling up in the future will cost a lot of money, holding a glowing crystal in his hand. He holds out his hand to the glowing blue creature, saying that it is evolving. He watches as the cloaked creature grows in size and burps. He is concentrating on catching a falling object that emits a bright light, preparing for an important action. The image shows a huge glowing skull surrounded by an energetic glow and clouds, creating a sense of powerful magical power. He defends himself from the powerful ice attack coming from her, which surrounds them with a bright light and a frosty vortex. She floats in a brilliant blue light, surrounded by clouds and magical energy, as if preparing for a powerful spell. The screen displays information about the ice spirit with a description of its level, skills, and conditions of evolution into the next form, the Snow Maiden. He confidently declared that the evolution was a success and summoned the ice crystal spirit. He is surprised to see the creature with horns and reflects on the unusual strength of his pet, which immediately reached the second rank. He stands next to a smiling blue-haired girl surrounded by radiance and crystals. He stands next to the ice blast, feeling the intense cold radiating from it. He confidently extends his hand and thinks that he made the right bet. He says the extract command, and a spirit and power crystal appears in front of his hand. He sits intently on his lap, a glowing spirit coming out of his back, and in his mind, he explains the importance of power crystals for spiritual and physical strength. He looks ahead in surprise and tension, his eyes wide and filled with concern. He is surrounded by bright blue energy, clenching his fists and radiating power as he prepares to fight or use the force. He feels that he can no longer feel the cold and that a constant flow of power is coming out of him. He reflects that while it is not necessary to participate in combat in person, physical strength is useful for surviving dangerous situations. She gently hugs the black object and speaks softly, expressing her feelings. He smiles and says that you need to use all the opportunities. He raises his hands over her with a smile, and information about her level and height appears on the screen. Rank 1, Stage 2, 100% growth. It stands among the ice fragments, and above it is displayed the level and growth rate 24% at the second rank, the 4th stage. He confidently says that tomorrow's advanced association will definitely be surprised during the evaluation. He and she are walking down the street, and in the distance, 2 others and 1 woman are heading in different directions. She asked her brother if he was ready, as he stood with his hands in his pockets against the backdrop of city buildings. She smiles with her eyes closed against the background of city buildings, expressing joy or satisfaction. He said with a smile that things would change soon, while the 2 girls were talking behind him outside the building. She declares that she is a talented 3rd-grade student at Pinghai No. 1 Middle School, addressing the girl standing with her hands on her hips. She stands with her eyes closed and her arms crossed, remembering that she was rejected. He reveals that she is the genius of Pinghai First High School and has many fans and envious fans. She looks at the floating jellyfish and asks about the rating. He smiles with confidence and clenches his fist against a glowing golden background. She happily offers to celebrate if everyone passes their exams, and he unexpectedly hugs her. He reacts with embarrassment when his face suddenly touches his buttocks in tight pants. She called out loudly to her brother, who was standing next to her, in the tense situation on the street between the buildings. He asks her who she is, watching curiously, and she looks down with a serious expression on her face. The little girl calls Joe Hong, and he and the girl notice and call her a bully. She says she is not interested in him, as he confessed, but she rejected him against the background of a guy with rainbow hair and a rose. With a determined expression on his face, he loudly declared that he should be the first. She called him brother as she held his hand outside the building. He reproaches her for not asking permission to leave by grabbing her shoulder, and she remains silent, turning away. She looks away with a determined and vicious expression, surrounded by red light and darkness. He reacts with intense eyes to the sudden surge of energy behind him. He forcefully raises his fist and declares that he will let her feel his power. The image shows the moment of impact, where the hand is rapidly moving towards the target with great force. He gripped the other's arm tightly in a show of strength, and the girl watched them in surprise in the background of the building. She looks thoughtfully ahead, as if trying to understand or comprehend something important. He stated with an angry expression that everyone knew how useless this cousin was. He asks tensely if he is the hero saving the beauty. He looks with determination and intensity, his eyes glowing in the dark, creating an atmosphere of menace and internal strife. He abruptly delivers a powerful kick, creating a blast wave aimed at the opponent. Terrified, she tries to stop a powerful blow from destroying the wall in front of her. He stands in front of two men, one of whom has just fallen, and the girl watches in surprise. He introduced himself as his brother and said that if you need anything, you can contact him. She thinks that Lin Jie's brother is very good at fighting. He is surprised that his strength has increased significantly after he strengthened his body. He rises from the ground with tension and determination, surrounded by the dust and traces of battle. He is standing in front of the other, who is preparing an energy charge in his hand, as if about to attack. He clenches his fist hard, preparing for action against the backdrop of the shattered space. The image shows a bright explosion or energy burst of blue light with no visible characters. She looks at him carefully, and he answers thoughtfully, standing in the background of the building under a clear sky. A ghost wolf with a blue flame appears in the room, its type and rank displayed on the screen. He confidently prepares for battle, surrounded by clouds of smoke and radiating energy. He reflects on the weakness of his pet, which is at rank 1, stage 7, and doubts the high probability of winning. She is concentrating on preparing a magic strike and thinks that there is no other way out. She exclaimed to her brother, asking what he was doing as he moved forward with a determined expression on his face. She says that she is not going to allow anyone to interfere in her affairs. He smiles with his eyes closed, turning back and saying something with confidence. She laughs and asks if the other person has gone crazy, wondering about his worst qualifications from Pinghai number 1. He summoned a huge firewolf and pointed at the target, preparing to attack. He is concentrating on channeling energy from the palm of his hand, preparing to use his power on the streets of the city. A wolf with a blue glow on its paws jumps from a height onto a city street, creating a powerful burst of light when it lands. A wolf with blue glowing eyes is rushing forward rapidly, radiating dangerous energy. The beast lets out a powerful roar, surrounded by bright blue energy and flying fragments. She intently casts a spell, surrounded by ice energy and lightning, activating the ability Extreme Cold Domain. She stares at the huge ice wolf that has appeared in front of her amid clouds of steam and ice. He warns her of impending danger in a panic, and she watches anxiously behind him. She looks thoughtfully out of the window and says something, expressing surprise or concern. He orders the ghost wolf to be summoned while standing next to another man in front of the ice creature on a city street. She summons an icy crystal spirit by chanting a spell. The image shows how the ice fragments are rapidly flying in different directions, creating the effect of destruction. He is standing on the floor, around which shards of blue ice are flying and breaking. He looks up tensely, gritting his teeth and sweating with the effort. He is surprised to say that the girl's pets, as a schoolgirl, can only reach rank 1 of stage 9, and she stands with her eyes closed and her arms crossed. He is surprised to see that she froze another person and asks how she did it. He looks away with a determined expression on his face against the blood-red sky. He and she are shocked and tense, reacting to an unexpected event that causes them great surprise and anxiety. The four watch as an icy flash of shrapnel erupts from the center, accompanied by the inscription, Icicle. He apologizes to his older brother, kneeling on the ice while two adults and a little girl watch him. He said he wasn't the right person to apologize to when addressing another man with pink hair. She warns Guan that they made a mistake as he leans over the blue glowing object. He stopped in front of the other one in fright, who lowered his head without saying a word. He slapped the other man sharply, demanding that he stop being surprised and apologize faster. He orders them to leave quickly, and the other readily agrees, while the girl and the little magical character watch on. He said, "Okay," and placed his hand on the little girl's head, which was surrounded by flying ice shards. He watches as another man forces a girl away, holding her hand against the backdrop of city buildings. He wonders how she was able to defeat the second-rank ghost wolf and asks if little Snowball can still evolve. He gently stroked the cheek of the smiling blue creature with crystal horns. The image shows the Imperial Beast Association building with a street and cars all around, with no visible characters or dialogues. The image shows a large stone with a bright blue pattern in the middle, on which someone asks if this is the source. A group of people are looking at a strange object, and he notices that there is nothing special about it. He stands with his hands in his pockets, thinking that some will lose their qualifications, while others will enter the Imperial Beast Academy and start a new life. He welcomes everyone to today's Beast Tamer apprentice exam and explains that everyone has been given a bronze medal with a different level. It considers a disc with 4 levels: superior, high, medium, and low. He asks another man to look at something while standing outside the building. The image shows the difficulty levels with a description of the upgrade to an apprentice beast tamer and bonuses to the spirit, physique, and growth of pets. They discuss the difficulty of the tests. One wants to pass the highest level, the other warns that less than 10% succeed. She asked her brother who he would choose, and he remained silent, surrounded by other people. He explains that the level of difficulty of the exam affects future development and advises you to choose the appropriate one, taking into account your own strength. She looks away thoughtfully, lost in thought against the blue glow. In the image, the hand holds a gold medal with hieroglyphs, symbolizing the achievement of a high level. The image shows the distribution of people by difficulty level: 46 on low, 10 on medium, 1 on high and superior. He was surprised to note that someone had chosen the highest difficulty level, causing a reaction of surprise from others. He smiles and squeezes the glowing object in his hand, expressing confidence that the opponent will not stand. He shows her a glowing object. She stares intently, and the 3 people watching them express surprise and wariness. She is surprised to say that the highest difficulty level was chosen, and warns that if you fail, you will not be able to apply to the Academy of Beast Lords this year. He smiles and snaps his fingers, drawing the attention of the group, including her and several young men who are watching him with interest. He asked if someone had made a mistake with the button, watching what was happening with the other 2. He shows a glowing object, and she looks at it in surprise, watching what is happening in the room with other people. He looks ahead with a tense and gloomy expression, surrounded by a dark atmosphere. A man with gray hair says that the young people are too arrogant and have already given advice, and a group of people are listening to him, preparing for a possible conflict. He said that now that everyone has made their choice, you can continue standing in front of the glowing object, surrounded by other men. He announced the start of the assessment, while everyone else sat on the floor in a meditative position, preparing for the test. Several people are standing in the room, surrounded by glowing streams of energy, looking intently ahead. The silhouette of a person is surrounded by bright energy, creating a powerful luminous effect. Several people are floating in space, surrounded by glowing contours, as if they are in a state of meditation or concentration. He stands in front of a glowing map and asks if he understood correctly that it is Lin Z. He sits alone in the center of a large circular patterned square, surrounded by a building and green spaces. He stands at the entrance to the building and looks back as if he has sensed or heard something. He is sitting on the floor in a lotus position, meditating intently, and the other 2 men are behind him, watching what is happening. He prepares for battle, concentrating on putting his hands in a defensive stance against the background of the building. He clicks on the virtual receive button to get points. He stands in a building with arches. A glowing little character hovers nearby, and the screen displays information about rank increase and performance growth. He smiles confidently and clenches his fist in preparation for action. He and a small robot are standing on the pattern of the courtyard floor when a red hat falls from the roof. He and a small glowing figure stand in front of a huge creature preparing to attack. The image shows a rank 1 and stage 7 fire lizard preparing for battle in the arena. It looks at the creature and says it can only be rank 1. The huge creature spews powerful flames from its mouth, creating a bright and destructive stream of fire. He uses ice magic, creating sharp ice spikes that shoot down with great force. The image shows a powerful explosion with bright blue and orange flashes, creating the effect of rapid movement and destruction. She releases a powerful stream of water from her hands, creating a strong explosion and a cloud of steam in front of her. A powerful flow of water and ice appears around the frozen figure, creating a sudden freezing effect. He confidently declared that his icicle is more powerful, standing next to a small girl in the background of a building. He and she continue the challenge by approaching the exit of a building with the door open. He sees a bandaged skeleton come out of the dark passage and looks at it carefully. The image shows a skeleton wrapped in bandages with the caption that it is Bandaged Monster, Undead, Rank 1, Stage 9. He thinks with a smile that for others, passing the 9th stage of the first rank might be a difficult task. The blue-haired man is studying the map carefully, while the other one is watching him, waiting for an explanation of the plan of action. He observes a small creature that destroys an ice skeleton, considering it child's play. The blue-haired man explains that the opponent was restrained by his attributes, while the two men in black suits and glasses are listening intently and a little tense. Against the background of a building with a gate, an inscription says that the test is ongoing. He and she are standing in a ruined building when they are approached by a huge shadowy hand coming out of the darkness. The image shows a close-up of the creature's eyes with bright iridescent pupils expressing surprise or wariness. The image shows sinister creatures with sharp teeth and glowing eyes making a loud noise in a gloomy room. The image shows the monster's powerful plant limbs, accompanied by information about its type and rank. 3 men look at the glowing creature, and one of them thinks that the pet is weaker than the other and will not allow you to pass the level. He and a small creature with horns prepare for battle with a huge monster that releases ice crystals from its hands. He explains that rough bark and thick flesh can block icicles. The monster with sharp spikes and bright eyes forcefully slammed its fist into the ground, causing destruction and shattering shards. He found himself entangled in green vines that clenched around him with the words, "Withered Entanglement" written on them. He looks up, where 3 creatures with green auras are rushing towards him. A man with gray hair and another wearing glasses watch the glowing green phenomenon. He says that, despite something, the situation is unusual. He suddenly noticed something and expressed surprise. An unknown creature made of wood makes hissing sounds while standing on sparkling blue crystals, while the person watching it remains in the shadows. He says the name of the technique as it creates an icy vortex around itself. He looks ahead with a smile and prepares to say something. A monster with crystals on its head makes a loud sound, expressing aggression or pain. He creates an ice barrier, and the two watch from a safe distance. The image shows the moment of an attack with bright blue energy directed at a creature with large eyes, creating a dynamic collision effect. He finished creating the ice field in front of him and said that the job was done. The image shows glowing objects behind bars in a dark room with cracks in the walls. He swears that he almost didn't have the strength to kill the beast, and the other, covering his eyes with his hands, admits his next defeat, while the others sit around. He exclaimed joyfully about his success, and another raised his hands in alarm as the people at the mysterious glowing object watched what was happening. He remained silent as the other two discussed the situation, one of them expressing displeasure by clenching his fists. 3 men in the room are discussing a cruel creature with claws, and one of them says, "Cruel clawed monster." A group of people are discussing the appearance of a second-rank pet, expressing surprise and trying to understand the situation. He asks about the apprenticeship review, referring to another person. Someone notices a man who has challenged the highest level of difficulty against the background of a huge ice creature. He admires the power, and the two next to him look surprised and tense. She happily declares that she has succeeded and will become a disciple of the beastmaster. He observes a group of people at a glowing stone and notices that it is too strong. She thinks admiringly about Lindsay's achievement, and the 2 men exclaim in surprise and delight that something is coming out. The image shows a huge saber-toothed lion spewing rage while someone exclaims about the monster. He exclaimed that it was actually a saber-toothed tiger, while she and the other man listened with varying degrees of surprise. He noted with a smile that there was finally someone who could fight while she was concentrating on controlling the flying ice shards. He and she watch as the projectile explodes in the air, scattering fragments and creating a bright flash. He is surprised to notice the speed of the opponent and thinks that he is very fast. A huge beast attacks with a powerful blow, and he fights back, surrounded by blue light and energy. He slammed his fist down sharply, shattering the icy surface. He is determined to see if his opponent has any new tricks, despite the strain. He is facing a huge beast with fangs that has run out of the smoke in the room. He stands next to the radiant ice spirit, reflecting that pet strength doesn't always depend on their level. He explains that the outcome depends on the attributes, conditions, environment, and strategy of the beast tamer that affect the outcome. He reflects that the ice crystal spirit is weakened after 4 fights in a row, and the saber-toothed lion is a powerful creature for a one-on-one duel. He realizes that if he continues like this, he might actually lose by looking into eyes with bright red pupils. He is determined to find the right moment to attack, preparing for a decisive breakthrough. He calls the ice spirit to battle, preparing to attack. He says emphatically that the time has come to act. He releases energy spikes, and she strikes back with a powerful claw. A creature with crystals is lying in the arena, and a cloud of blue smoke or energy rises around it. The crowd watches a glowing portal from which someone asks if there will be a draw. The beast with crystals on its back falls to the ground, making a sound of surprise. He reflects on the fact that his beast can compare to a saber-toothed lion of the second rank of the 5th stage, and praises the pet for a hidden trick. He says that this decision was made after careful consideration, referring to another man with blue eyes. A huge beast-like creature with sharp fangs and claws roars, radiating power and rage. He stands in the room with his head down and looks down, as if he's concentrating or thinking. The image shows legs wrapped in glowing energy, as if someone is preparing to use magic power. He fires a powerful energy beam at the red-maned creature, which aims at him through the glowing stream. A huge bestial creature with fangs utters the command swim and strike against the background of ancient arches. He explains that the saber-toothed lion was a domestic beast from the cold regions and has a strong resistance to cold as long as it concentrates magical energy. He looks ahead intently, feeling uneasy and tense inside. He stands in front of a large screen that displays a message about reaching and unlocking the pet skill unlock feature. The image shows descriptions of 2 game skills: Arctic Chains for controlling and linking targets, and Ice Shield for defending using ice with conditions for unlocking them. He explains thoughtfully that pets usually have a maximum of 2 basic abilities, and the more of them, the more tactics you can combine. The image says that the skill Icicle is based on control. An extreme cold realm has a large radius and damage, but is not strong enough. He reflects on the need for a powerful technique to control a single target in the current situation. It activates the Arctic Chains control skill by spending 50 achievement points and leaving 50 on the balance. He says that the last points are left, while a fire projectile is rapidly flying in front of them. A huge beast with sharp fangs and claws radiates powerful energy and roars as it prepares to attack. A second-rank ice crystal spirit appears in front of them with an improved growth rate of 54%, exuding a bright light and confidence. Enraged, he explains that he didn't see what materials he was using, and the others listened to him in surprise and dismay. He raised his hand confidently, as if inviting a fight or challenge. He stands by her side as she summons ice chains to hold off the fire lion attacking from above. It releases a powerful attack called Arctic Chains, surrounded by energy and ice. He and she watch as the bound creature tries to break free of its icy shackles, and he says emphatically that now is the right time for action. He casts the spell Icicle, swinging sparkling blue energy around him. A huge beast roars, surrounded by blue energy shards falling from the sky, creating a destructive effect around it. The white-haired man is looking at the aquarium, and the others are watching him intently, not saying a word. A man with blue hair exclaims, wondering why the pet uses 3 skills, and others share his bewilderment. He watches a creature with ice crystals bursting out of its body and comments on their density. He said with shining eyes and ice shards all around him that it was time to start a new round. He and she watch as the animal falls to the ice, which cracks under it. She happily jumps up and says that he won the student evaluation. The man in brown panics that this is impossible, and the other is sure that someone bribed the examiner while the others are watching. A man with white hair talks about beastmasters, while other people stand and watch a guy sitting in a lotus position on the floor. He stands next to a small creature in a light that shows an increase in its physical and spiritual characteristics. The screen shows the student's level, strength of mind, lack of equipment, pet spirit, and the number of achievement points. The image shows information about Ice Crystal Spirit with its level, skills, and growth rate, as well as a note about changing the skill name. He admires the improvement in strength, calling it an increase in difficulty, while she silently looks ahead. He reads a message that says that it is possible to make a contract with a second pet, a beast. He thoughtfully asks which contract is best for the second one, and decides that he will have to set aside time for a trip to the pet store. He sits on the floor in the center, and the others around him watch in silence, not saying a word. Several classmates ask him in surprise how he got an ice pet that no one has ever seen before. She happily hugged him from behind, saying that she knew he would definitely succeed. She gently hugs him from behind, and he smiles with a slight blush, feeling warm and caring next to her. He complimented the young man on his amazing performance, while the others stood side by side in the large, high-ceilinged room. He's wearing an orange shirt and says he's never seen it before, while the others stand around in the square. He shows his hand with confidence, and the two men behind him look surprised and tense. She asks her brother to agree quickly, and he and the other two are surprised and tense about it. The crowd listens as the announcement is made that only the best graduates of the Imperial Beast Academy can pass the test and join the Tamer Association. He raised his hands in joy as he stood next to the broken object, exuding confidence and victory. He reflects on the benefits of consent, which will eliminate financial problems and bring respect, while the other watches him with a slight smile. He reflects that the more he gets now, the more he will have to pay in the future, and he doesn't want to lose his freedom because of the rules of the Beast Tamer Association. Two surprised men look at the third, who smiles calmly, and one of them expresses shock without words. He asks the examiner to let him go if the other doesn't want to, and the two men listen with wariness. He nervously tries to explain something, and the other one with white hair thinks that he will soon become much stronger and get more privileges. He is wearing a raincoat and addressing a group of people who are standing in a semicircle, listening intently. She exclaimed He Jungwon's name as he stood in front with a confident smile. Two people are walking across the square, and around them are several people standing and sitting in the shadow of the building. She calls Guan Ning to wait for them while he looks away. She introduced her brother Lu Xiang and Zhang Xiaoyun from the next class. Two girls hold hands, and the pink-haired girl asks her brother to add her as a friend, showing her her phone. She smiles, and the other greets her, saying that it's good to see her. He tries to explain himself, and she crosses her arms angrily and shows annoyance. She screams for him to save his friend, while he tries to escape, and another girl watches them. She looks at her phone, which says, "Come to the office." He looked into the room and asked if the teacher had been looking for him. She sat in the chair and asked him if he had heard that he had passed the high-difficulty test. She hugs him and tells him that the teacher appreciates him the most. He remembers how he got a B and ran away, and she caught up with him with a belt. And then he sighs softly. She said she called him to tell him something important, showing him the book, and he listened intently. He carefully examines the book with the mysterious cover, holding it in both hands. She points to the book he's holding, and he looks at her with interest. He explains that the spirit technique is the most important way to fight, besides taming beasts. She explains that spirit tamers with strong techniques can kill wild animals without the help of pets, relying only on their abilities. A small creature watches a glowing ball with a figure inside, surrounded by fire, which suddenly flares up. He enthusiastically announces that he's going to train, and she smiles and raises her hand in response. He reads in a book that the Spirit Guardian effect creates a shield that absorbs damage 360 degrees using spiritual power. He's thinking about entering the Imperial Beast Academy first and then devoting his time to studying advanced courses. He is sitting in the lotus position, meditating intently, and a blue mystical glow begins to appear around him. He is sitting in a lotus position inside a glowing protective dome, looking down intently. He stands in front of the glowing screen and thinks about the upcoming event, raising his hands in concentration. The image shows a message that someone has successfully mastered the spirit technique. He sits on the floor of the room surrounded by a glowing protective dome and stares at the screen in front of him. He says with confidence that the system also works with spiritual techniques. He points to a screen that says, "Spend 100 and 250 achievement points." He meditates while surrounded by a glowing energy shield that says, "Spirit Guardian, Level 3. He explains that the protective shield has become thicker and bigger. He analyzes the remaining spiritual power and realizes that he can use the Guardian Spirit 78 times, expending 10 points each time. He reminds me that the Spirit Stone obtained for the achievement of the Tamer Apprentice has not yet been used and suggests that I use it now. He is standing in the room, an aura is shining around him, and a message appears on the screen about increasing his spiritual power from 780 to 880. He is holding a book with instructions on the Spirit Arrow technique, which explains how to focus the mind, gather the spirit at your fingertips, and launch an arrow. He studies the page with instructions for the Spirit Impact technique, which explains how to focus the mind and accumulate energy in the fist for impact. He looks down thoughtfully, lost in thought against the haze. He slammed down hard on the floor, releasing a powerful energy charge from his hand. He strikes a powerful blow, surrounded by bright energy, in an empty room with a sofa and pillows. He deals a powerful blow, spending 30 points of spiritual power. He looks at the hole in the wall, where smoke is rising and cracking sounds are heard. He stands in front of a ruined wall, reading an inscription about a potion that quickly restores all spiritual power. He smiles and points at the computer screen, as if inviting someone to join a game or discussion. He suddenly falls back on the bed, expressing surprise. 4 people walk across the square in front of a large building. One goes down the stairs, the rest go to it. Several people are queuing at ATMs in the building, and one is watching them from the shadows. He points his finger down as he stands in a room with 2 other men, one of whom is holding a piece of paper. He looks at the tasks on the screen and thinks that he will choose the one that offers the greatest reward. He gets angry and knocks on the table, expressing dissatisfaction. A mountain area is highlighted on the map, and the voice asks you to arrive at a place called Detol. 3 of them stand in a narrow gorge with danger and death toll flags. He with green hair crosses his arms, and the other 2 watch him. The one with the green streak says not to interrupt, and the other raises a friendly hand in response. A man named Zhao Mingshan wonders why a newbie who hasn't even finished training has already received a task. She, smiling and winking, says that this is annoying and asks not to frighten him. 4 people discuss a plan on a rocky terrain. One of them stands doubtfully, and the girl explains her thoughts to the others. He says that he hasn't finished his studies yet and will bother the other person again later. 4 of them are standing on the mountainside, and one of them is explaining something to the others, including the girl, who is listening intently. She snorted, either in displeasure or annoyance. He announced that he was temporarily in command of the team, and that everyone should listen to his orders when arriving at the mission site. He reflects that the other survives by completing tasks based on the inferior beast-taming skills he learned in high school. He smiles and gives a thumbs up and says that the distribution will depend on the job. The more you work, the more you get. 3 of them walk down a narrow passageway between rocks, and one of them encourages the others to keep going. The 4 of them walk across the rocky terrain to a dark, mysterious hole in the ground. The 2 of them are standing on the edge of a deep, dark pit, and there's a hum and vibration all around them. Many glowing insects with sharp horns move swiftly across the ground in the dark, creating an ominous atmosphere. A huge glowing insect with sharp claws and glowing eyes appears in the dark. He stands on the ground and looks at the clouds of smoke rising from the pit filled with dark silhouettes. He summons the horned rhinoceros, a second-rank 5th-stage beast that is surrounded by electrical energy. He demonstrates the appearance of the windhammer beetle, calling it Windcutter Mantis and indicating its rank and stage. She encourages her younger brother to follow her as a wasp named Fear. Wasp appears in the foreground. A group of people are standing at the entrance of the cave, watching the flying insects, and one of them decides to first test the abilities before the action. The image shows many glowing insects flying and crawling on the ground in a dark space. He talks about a serious situation, expressing confidence and determination in the conversation. A huge creature with a blue horn attacks insects, and a voice orders them to be beaten to death, calling the actions reckless. He confidently holds out his hand with a green light, expressing determination and readiness for action. In the image, a powerful attack occurs with a bright flash of light and the sound of impact, but the characters are not visible. A praying mantis fights several large insects with blue wings against a purple sky. She warns him not to even think about it. The invisible character reports that he is woken up while the bee is delivering a venomous needle attack. A praying mantis with glowing eyes fights with several flying insects against a dynamic, multicolored background. The green-haired man said that the 3 of them made a great team, while the other listened to him in the cave. She cheerfully raised her hand, and he said that to receive payment, you need to pay for tuition. 2 creepy creatures with glowing eyes move briskly against the backdrop of deserted mountains. He stands against a background of blue smoke and thinks that all the spectacular attacks do not pose a threat to the swarm of insects. Flying insects are depicted, accompanied by the sound of a scream. Startled, she asked what that sound was. The image shows vicious creatures with glowing eyes that approach in a dark atmosphere, creating a sense of menace and danger. Giant insects with glowing eyes rapidly move across the desert landscape, creating a sense of impending threat. Three creatures move on the sandy surface: an insect-like creature, a small winged creature, and a stone one with blue spikes. He screams in a panic about the hole, expressing great concern. He asks if the Bug King is inside. A huge creature with a horn is attacked by many flying creatures with glowing eyes, surrounding it from all sides. A monster with bright blue eyes attacks the victim, leaving bloody marks on her body. Three insects with blue eyes attack the green and yellow insects, trying to grab them. He warns that otherwise they will be killed by bugs, and the other covers his ears in panic, fearing danger. He explains that the death bugs cause a paralyzing effect while the two listen to him in the cave. She covers her ears in a panic and screams from a lot of noise or pain. He grabbed the other by the jacket and said that he would not tolerate such an attitude, expressing anger and tension. He looks at the other person and says that he can't let him leave. Many luminous insects with sharp horns fly in the dark, cavernous space, creating a sense of impending threat. He shouts to run, while the other five stand at the entrance of the cave surrounded by crawling insects. He shouts that you need to run fast, otherwise everything will end with him. The image shows a large fly flying against a background of dynamic lines that create a sense of fast movement. He quickly runs away from his pursuers, leaving behind shadows and weapons on the ground. He strikes a powerful blow, surrounded by a burst of energy and dark shadows. He looks ahead with horror and rage, as if realizing something terrible. Four characters defend themselves from the attack, surrounded by a glowing shield preparing to strike. It activates a defense called Spirit Guardian, surrounded by a glowing shield. He is shocked and tries to stop someone, expressing strong surprise and alarm. It warns the other person to be careful, while the other person listens carefully from behind. He's panicking and screaming, sweating with fear and tension. He stretches out his hand, emitting a bright light and creating an energy flow. She is concentrating on using ice magic, surrounded by radiance and crystals. He says in shock that he has never seen it before, while the other two look at the same thing in surprise. He thinks aloud about the bugs, noting their level and lack of mass destruction skills, which makes it impossible to fight them. He talks about his third-rank ice crystal, emphasizing its power against the bright blue light. He confidently says that the ability to kill on a large scale is common, as long as there is a powerful energy sparkling around him. She is concentrating on using powerful ice magic, surrounded by radiance and frosty mist. The image shows a giant ice structure or creature collapsing with a loud sound, surrounded by clouds and radiance. The image shows a huge ice dragon radiating cold and power against a sky background with clouds and breathing sounds. He looks at a glowing blue object and thinks about what is happening around him. He's panicked, and she's terrified, watching the man with a tense expression and beads of sweat. He and she stand at an ice wall with frozen figures, while the other three watch, one of them demanding to let them go. He points an alarmed finger and says that someone is trying to intimidate them. He confirms that he is Lin by saying this against a glowing blue background. She marvels at the power, and he stands there, partially visible in the shadows. He exclaimed that the other's words didn't make them true as long as she was standing next to him. He slapped the other man sharply and called him an idiot, expressing anger and impatience. He stands with his arms outstretched, she approaches, and the third person lies on the ground, covering his head. He warns her that time is running out and the ice will soon melt while she tries to hold the frozen creatures back. She points at it and expresses surprise or accusation. He and she are standing on top of an icy mountain, and he calls out loudly to someone saying, "No!" In a dark cave, the idea is heard that to catch a thief, you must first capture the king. He abruptly pushes away from the wall, creating a powerful burst of energy around him. A glowing blue cat sits in a dark cave surrounded by smoke and shadows. He stands in a deep pit next to a small glowing creature, surrounded by dark walls. He thinks out loud about how improving physical fitness affects his vision. In the dark, many glowing eyes and silhouettes appear, causing the observer great surprise and fear. A monster with bright eyes attacks from above, and a protective energy shield with the inscription Spirit Impact appears at the bottom. He and she stand side by side, watching the flying sharp object that breaks through the protective barrier. 3 characters rapidly fly to the ground, and in the distance you can see a figure standing on the surface. 2 green-eyed creatures shoot powerful blue energy beams downwards. He quickly attacks, delivering powerful blows, accompanied by explosions and the inscription Spirit Guardian. Dark creatures with glowing eyes fall down, and a glowing shield is visible below, protecting them from them. In the image, the insect-like creatures fall to the surface, and the voice informs that it still has achievement points. The screen shows descriptions of 2 skills, Ice Shield for defense and Ice Nova for explosive damage, with requirements for growth level and achievement points. He resolutely says that it is enough to learn everything while standing in the shining light. The Spirit of Ice has mastered the skills Ice Shield and Frosty Nova, which is confirmed by the notification that appears. He explains that with an Ice Shield, the Ice Spirit can move freely, and for a powerful attack, you need to collect the surrounding ice elements. He summons an Ice Crystal Spirit, surrounded by light and flying shards of ice, to attack the bugs. A force explosion with bright blue energy destroys the surrounding space, creating the effect of falling and a powerful blow. The image shows the moment of a powerful impact or explosion with bright blue flashes and flying fragments surrounded by clouds of smoke. He appears in front of a huge glowing shield, and she informs him that the ice element is already here. The image shows someone ordering the use of the Frost Nova ability, causing a massive explosion of ice energy. She is concentrating on creating a glowing energy ball as she prepares to attack or defend. He stands in the center of a glowing circle surrounded by flying mechanical creatures with sharp blades. The ice-covered hand emits powerful energy, accompanied by the sound of frosting, creating an effect of extreme cold and strength. He stands in the midst of exploding energy and lightning, surrounded by bright blue flashes and flying shards. He is studying information about an ice spirit that has reached the 3rd rank and will soon move on to the next stage called Snow Lady. He explains that pet animals gain experience in battles and can improve, and also notes that there are a lot of bugs here, which is suitable for leveling up. He hopes that the Ice Crystal Spirit can break through today and advance to the next stage at 89% growth. He and she heard a loud roar coming from the dark cave in front of them. The image shows 2 glowing insects in the dark making buzzing sounds. He stands with his hands clasped and smiles slightly, looking down, as if preparing for a conversation or action. She is concentrating on creating blue magic spheres in her hands, preparing to cast a spell on a dark surface. She speaks tensely, sweating and expressing concern as she stands against a backdrop of rocks under a blue sky. He asks with tension in his voice why another person cares about a child who deliberately sought death. He runs towards 2 men near the cliff, one of whom has fallen and the other is standing nearby. He greets by raising his hand and says that he will be back soon, being in the background of the mountains. He happily declared that he was now the king of ice and would rule over all the cold. He warns that the goal is ahead, but advises to be careful while the other listens to him in the background of the mountains. He reacts in surprise to the words of the interlocutor, who warns that you should not underestimate the situation. She exclaimed that he was a bronze beast tamer, expressing surprise and excitement. He put 2 fingers to his forehead with a smile, expressing confidence and calmness. She holds up 2 fingers, asking something of the man in the brown raincoat, while the third watches the conversation. He holds her chin and tells her that if she wants to see him perform, then... He smiles and looks ahead, giving the impression of confidence and calmness. He with green hair and another man with long dark hair look dumbfounded and tense, surrounded by chaotic circles. He and she stand in front of a huge ice creature, receiving a notification of the achievement Beast Slayer and a reward in the form of an explosive seed card. He smiles and points at the holographic screen, saying that there are a lot of rewards to collect this time. He said, "No," and pointed out that they were 1 step closer to the next stage, addressing the Snow Lady. He stands next to the small creature in the cave, hearing strange noises around them. He thinks to himself intently that it will be time to go out soon. He is surprised to see a huge glowing beetle, expressing shock at its size. He studies the details of the mission and reports that the death bug crisis occurred a week ago. A dangerous creature called the Death Toll Striker appears, making a loud roar against the background of red light. He refuses to run because then he won't get a penny, and is confident that he can turn the bike into a motorcycle, despite the threat from the green-eyed creature. He watches as the stone golem explodes in the air next to them with a bright flash. Rocks fall from a great height, causing a powerful explosion when they hit the ground. He lifts the other into the air, and a stone creature with yellow eyes stands next to him. He's glad she's okay, and points to 2 people standing in the cave in the distance. He asked why the other person had returned, and expressed dissatisfaction with the appearance of another person. He said it wasn't a place for them, while the other 2 watched from behind him in the cave. In a dark dungeon, a creepy creature with glowing eyes appears, ready to attack. He called out to the other person, trying to get their attention, while the little girl was standing nearby and the third person was looking at the stone wall. He stands with his back turned and asks if the other person is ready for the upcoming event. A creature with green glowing eyes rushes rapidly forward against a background of bright pink light. He imagined himself as the bronze beastmaster Luo Da in the background of his two creatures in the cave. He stands with a sword, and behind him appears a creature with green eyes and a skeletal face, ready to attack. Someone uses ice chains called Arctic chains to attack or capture. One of them called out to Ling Ji, who was standing with a shining crystal while a small glowing creature hovered nearby. The monster asks the man if he is Ling Ji, who has passed the level with increased difficulty. He says that he will go too, and the other clarifies what he means. She points her finger in a panic and shouts that she can't let someone die. The dark green-eyed creature swings its pincers furiously, deflecting the ice shards flying at it. He irritably called the other person annoying and promised to show the difference between them. Stones fly up and burn in flames, increasing the power of the great stone monster of rank 4, stage 2. He asks in surprise if such a spirit technique really exists. The moment of rapid movement or falling of an object with brown ends against a background of green vertical lines is shown. One character falls violently on top of another, causing a massive explosion and destruction all around. He is standing in front of a fallen creature with green eyes, surrounded by clouds of smoke in a gloomy room. He explains that understanding high-level spiritual techniques is not available to everyone as long as two people listen to him in the cave. In the image, there is a rapid impact with the effect of red energy, accompanied by the sound of horn-piercing strike. He happily says that now he can do whatever he wants, and this is very cool. The monster named Death Toll Striker has entered Berserk mode, and its combat power has reached the danger level of rank 4 of stage 3. He holds his staff in concentration as a stone creature with glowing eyes vibrates tensely behind him. The two fight, delivering powerful energy strikes against a huge creature with burning eyes. The image shows an explosion or strong impact, accompanied by clouds of smoke and red flashes. He appears with magic to help in the battle with a huge monster that attacks another fighter. The monster warns of an approaching attack by shouting, "Here he comes!" The image shows a powerful energy explosion with bright lighting effects and sinister eyes in the dark, creating a tense atmosphere. A bright-eyed person exclaims something with strong emotion, expressing surprise or alarm. The image shows the moment of destruction of a large ice block with falling fragments. He says that they are now even while a giant robot and a creature with red eyes fight in the background of two observers. A monster with a bright glowing eye strikes with its tail, and in response, an unknown force quickly crashes into it. On the ground lies a ruined stone golem, around which smoke and dust rises after the battle. In a panic, she calls for escape, warning that the bug is too strong and otherwise everyone will die. He says tensely that the situation is becoming dangerous and we need to act quickly. He says that he will go first, and the creature declares that he will stay and kill the enemy, while the third one watches in surprise. He anxiously says that even the enhanced giant stone monster can't harm him. He screams in panic at the other, who is standing with his back to him in the cave next to the creature with burning eyes. He is surrounded by a magical ring of fire, and a small creature nearby orders to strengthen. He is shocked and says it's a joke, looking at the bright energy coming out. He intently unleashes a powerful ice attack with his eyes glowing brightly, increasing his strength. He panics and asks her who this person is, and she is also startled and excited. He asks if 1 minute is enough, and is sure that with the help of his spiritual techniques, this time will be enough. He calls for the creature to come, and a monster with bright glowing eyes roars at them. He activates the ability Arctic Chains, surrounded by an icy aura, while a huge monster with red eyes appears in front of him. He reflects that as the level of the ice spirit increases, the skill's power increases significantly, but it's unlikely that he will be able to control it for long. It warns you to carefully monitor the result while a powerful explosion hits the enemy. It deals a powerful blow, threatening to make the opponent drunk to death, while the remaining boost time is displayed on the screen. 40 seconds. The monster receives a powerful blow from which fragments fly around and bright light flashes. One warns the other that if they continue to overuse their life and spiritual energy, they will die. He looks at the screen that says spirit power and says he's using half of his energy. He is shocked and can hardly say that this is impossible. In amazement, she calls him a genius and hopes that they can kill this deadly attacker. A monster with glowing eyes spews out energy, and he reflects it with a glowing magic gesture. The image shows a powerful explosion or energy release with bright flashes and dynamic lines that create the effect of rapid movement. He and she fight by releasing powerful energy blasts, hitting the enemy who is sent flying back under the impact of the attack. He strikes quickly, and she watches in surprise as he does so. He admires the powerful strength of the big-eyed creature and speculates that it might be a pet of someone he knows. He explains that the beasts have joined the fight while she listens intently, watching the two figures move forward. The image shows 5 powerful elemental creatures that have since disappeared, according to the text. He prepares to strike, declaring that it's time to end these insects. He is concentrating on using ice magic, creating sharp ice blades around him. The insect quickly runs along the surface, making sounds of ha ha. He and a creature with a skull on its head simultaneously attack a flying enemy, causing a powerful explosion. The image shows a volcanic eruption with clouds of smoke and fire streams against a red sky. A system message appears on the screen indicating the first goal: to kill a boss named Death Toll Striker. She enthusiastically proclaimed Lin Tzu as her god, and he listened to her in the cave with a slight smile and sweat on his face. It swings, and the system reports that the explosive seed card effect disappears. He praised the ice spirit for its success, which reached 100% growth at the 3rd rank of the 5th stage. He looks at the glowing creature and thinks that it can't be an ordinary pet. An achievement notification appears on the screen. First, kill the boss and get rewards, including points, rebirth potion, and materials for evolution. He put his hand on the other's shoulder, expressing support or comfort. He looks at her in surprise, and the other supports him as she asks a question. He asks for credit for killing an enemy, while the other two sit next to the smoking corpse. She indignantly asks why he is doing this, and he replies that he will give 10 watts, calling him Lin Jie's little brother. He reflects on the fact that the Tamer Association sent him to solve the mission task, and now he cares more about the result for the sake of evaluation and promotion. He suggests something. The girl listens, and the other man thinks that he first wants to get better terms before agreeing. He speaks with outstretched arms to the 2 men who are listening intently in the desert area. He, despite his debt to Luo Da, resolutely offers to make a deal. He passed the device to another, who confirmed receiving 10 watts. He holds the phone and expresses bewilderment when he hears a strange sound around him. He and another blindfolded man stare in surprise at a huge monster with a red eye and claws peeking out of the cave. He whirled around as 3 people approached him in the dark dungeon. He straightens his coat and addresses the Lord. 3 men are talking in a cave. One of them says that something will happen again, and the other reacts with surprise. He is surprised to think that this guy actually knows Lord He. 4 people are standing on a rocky surface near the rocks. One of them confirms the correctness of something. He explains that the assassin has reached the 4th rank, while the other character's pet has only reached the 2nd rank. He explains that due to negligence, the rating of tasks was underestimated and asks for forgiveness, and the other responds that it does not matter. She thinks it's called high EQ, watching the 3 men discuss something in the cave. He explains that for changing the mission, the association will pay compensation in the amount of 10 million yuan. He scratched the back of his head, and the other said it was more than compensation. He explains that the other man's lack of a 2nd pet indicates his need for money, and says that he transferred the money to his name, hoping for a reasonable use. He watches as the other leaves first, giving them a warning. He asks another person for a favor against the backdrop of a mountain landscape at sunset. He stands with his back to the mountains and says that he can't afford to make a mistake in this case. She smiles as she watches the man run off down a mountain path in the distance with the sunset in the background. She waved her hand in greeting, and he stood with his back to her, watching her against the sunset. He smiles and waves his hand, saying something to the other person. He walks down the street and thinks 20 watts is enough to buy a Class B pet. She greets and asks how she can help. He asked her something, and she answered, explaining the situation, standing at the counter in a room with gray walls. The image shows showcases with different figures, and the speaker claims that everything is here. He looks carefully at the exhibits in the windows, and she follows him from behind, watching for his reaction. He was surprised by the high price, and she was explaining something next to him with a smile. She smiles and explains that 16 watts also includes materials for evolution. He He explains that the rating of the snowball pet was low and was considered unchanged, but in fact, the expert's estimates are not always accurate. As he walks away, she looks after him as the system reports a hidden royal evolution pet. He was surprised to see the stone creature and thought it looked familiar. The stone golem stands in the glow, radiating strength and readiness for action. The image shows the hidden path of evolution of the god of stone, associated with ancient bloodlines and the ability to control stone and earth. He examines the conditions for the next form, rock ghost, and notices that it seems familiar. He explains that Luo Da's pet, a giant rock monster, evolved from a small creature, and this is the most common path of evolution. He wonders that this creature could have evolved to the level of a god, standing against a backdrop of red sky and sharp rocks. He ponders the benefits of the ice crystal spirit as a mage and comes to the conclusion that the stone monster is a warrior type. She happily picks up a small stone monster and says it's a popular, easy-to-evolve, and inexpensive choice for combat. She holds a stone monster and explains that the materials for evolution are not suitable, and the use of expensive earth essence on a D-class pet is impractical. He handed over the money, and she gave him a shining item called Seal Pearl. He shows a glowing object in his hand, and the other observes, while the system reports the successful conclusion of the second contract with the pet and accruing 300 points. The image shows a stone golem in a blue fire glow, and a voiceover says that first you need to increase its growth rate to 100%. He sits on the floor and looks at the small robot and the achievement sign showing 800 points. The hand activates the upgrade, turning the stone monster into a stronger second rank in stage form with full growth rate. He suggests that the creature eat the materials for evolution so that it can evolve, and the creature responds with surprise to the suggestion. The image shows a fast bump accompanied by a motion effect and a sound effect on the background. He pointed at the plate and said that there was still some undead powder left uneaten. A stone animal shakes its head on the floor of a room with a sofa and an armchair. He screams in shock, surprised by the appearance of Eater, while the small robot on the floor expresses anger. She is looking at something with a red glowing eye with surprise and tension. He thinks something is recovering well by watching the little creature next to him. A dark creature with glowing eyes plummets down against the red lines, creating a sense of danger and tension. He strikes a powerful blow with his sword at a robot that stands in front of him in a room with furniture. A character with a metal body screams and cries, radiating bright light and emotions. He scratches his head in embarrassment, trying to control his awkwardness against the swirls and notes of the music. He happily says that he can now control ice and snow, demonstrating his new abilities. She stands with a knife, and the creature makes ying-ying-ying sounds, expressing concern. A message appears on the screen stating that the growth rate has increased to 100%. He says, "Black light," against a background of ominous red light and dark shadows. The image shows an explosion or powerful impact with bright red flashes and flying fragments. A dark armored character with red eyes and horns appears from a cloud of smoke, surrounded by energy after an explosion. He reads the requirements for the next Earth Spirit evolution form shown on the screen, while another person watches him in the shadows. He turned his head sharply, and his glowing eye glowed brightly in the darkness. He abruptly asked what was going on, expressing surprise and demanding an explanation. The armored man with red hair forcefully slammed his fist on the floor, causing a violent explosion of the ground. He watches in armor as a blue ghost sparrow flies out of the window and sharp black spikes appear in front of it. He delivers a sharp, powerful punch, demonstrating strength and determination in battle. The image shows a bright explosion or flash of light surrounded by clouds of smoke and sparks. He created an ice shield to protect himself from the attack of the opponent who crashed into the wall. One of the characters in armor with red eyes is angry and calls the other a scoundrel, and the other is holding his head in shock. He stated that he would show who really decides and activated evolution by spending 10 advanced ice crystals. The dark creature with bright pink eyes is surrounded by an icy aura and a snowflakes, radiating powerful energy. With a sinister smile and glowing red eyes, he is absorbing 10 materials for the evolution of ice crystals. An ice-type snow maiden appeared, successfully evolving to rank 4, stage 1, with 0 growth rate. A character with pink eyes and an icy aura receives shield and Arctic zone upgrades that increase defense and damage with the storm effect. He in armor, and another man look at the horned woman who appeared in the clouds, surrounded by a glowing aura. He in armor with red glowing eyes makes a WU sound and starts to retreat. He in armor is surprised by the ice crystals appearing in front of him, and she is standing surrounded by ice, while the third one is watching with a serious expression. He is wearing a mask with horns and red eyes when he notices the falling ice shards and exclaims in surprise. She is standing, and he is kneeling in front of her, expressing submission or apology. He with red hair and armor says that if you cannot change the complex character, then a masked man with red hair nervously asks if the other person is convinced of something. He looks at the fire-headed creature, which is leaning forward sharply, making a sound. He's wearing a horned mask and is worried about failing and thinking about trying again as blue energy arrows fall around him. He cautiously peeked out from behind the door when he heard an unexpected sound. He looks at the other man, who is standing by the door with a displeased expression, clearly causing tension between them. He accuses the interlocutor of repeated insults and demands compensation for moral damage, showing 3 fingers, and the other listens attentively. He is shocked and shouts in surprise, holding a paper with the words 30 watts in his hands. He demands that the other person return something within 3 days, expressing it with anger and insistence. He has grabbed the other man's jacket in a threatening manner, and a sinister demon with red eyes is watching them. A dark demon with red eyes raises a fist to strike, and a man with a tattoo on his face looks away, oblivious to the threat. He stopped the demon's attack by ordering it to stop, while the other one watched in surprise. He panics and asks what kind of monster is in front of him, while someone points threateningly at his neck. He apologizes for his younger brother's behavior while standing in front of 2 men, one of whom is wearing armor with horns. He asks with a sinister smile if the other person sees this compensation. He tries to kick the other, but he asks to forget about it, and the third watches what is happening. He smiles, hiding his eyes under his bangs, creating a mysterious and confident impression. He and she sleep in the same bed, and a third man with red hair and armor sits on the floor next to them, watching them. A bright sky is shown against the background of city houses, and below is a picture of ducklings in a bathtub on a pink background with the inscription, Super Idol. He reacts in surprise to what she shows him on her phone, expressing shock. She reminds the other person that today is the entrance exam for the Jiangning Imperial Beast Academy and asks if he has forgotten about it. A group of young people stands by the bus in front of a modern building and discusses the upcoming trip. She draws attention by raising her hand, and he responds to her on the street between buildings. He walks down the street and says that someone thinks too highly of themselves, confirming what he said. She screams with burning eyes and slaps him across the face, sending him reeling back. He admitted that he was too tired lately, and she asked if he had practiced his wind techniques. She looks questioningly at the man and woman who are nodding to each other in the background of the street and the bus. She encourages everyone by saying that the teacher is waiting for good news and asks everyone to try their best. A group of people led by him and a girl with pink hair are cheering each other on, determined to do their best. He smiles and addresses someone named Lin Zi against the background of glowing lights. The bus rushes rapidly along the mountain road, creating a sense of danger and speed. He admitted that he was so busy that he forgot to check Guangning's messages while talking to her on the street. She speaks with determination about the need to act, clenching her fist in the background of the window. He admires her, saying that now there will be no problems with the exam, and she listens to him with interest. A bus and car drive along a winding road with a large Jiangning city with tall buildings and mountains in the distance in the background. She stopped the man, saying she couldn't let him pass. He looks sheepishly at the girl who is standing very close, almost touching his face. She looks at him in silence, not saying a word. He's surprised, and she's bowed her head in embarrassment, hiding her face. 2 girls are smiling and talking, sitting next to each other in the transport, and another passenger is visible behind them. A group of people walked up to the huge palace, admiring its grandeur and beauty. She is surprised when another girl with black hair speaks resolutely, and 2 people listen to their conversation in the garden. He watches a group of people gathered around a fountain in front of a large palace with stairs and statues. He calmly asked to give way, standing on a street with streetlights and buildings in the background. He reports that 17 students from the Qingping school have come to report, and a group of people are following him down the street. He clenches his fist and speaks with determination, and she watches with gum in her mouth while the others around her watch them intently. A pink-haired girl supports another, calling her the class leader and urging her not to lose to her opponents. He gives her an approving thumbs up, and she reacts cautiously, not showing much interest in the gesture. She enthusiastically declares that the students from Pinghai High School have arrived with a report, and the two escorts are walking beside her. He called the people around him rednecks, standing next to another man and a group of people in the background of the park and stares. The image shows a map with the designated cities of Pinghai, Kangxia, and Qingping, which states that Pinghai is more remote compared to the other two. He strikes a powerful blow at the statue, and someone praises him for his energy. He introduced himself as the teacher in charge of registration, greeting everyone with a smile. A group of people gathered in the square, and one of them congratulated everyone on the successful completion of the test, but warned not to rejoice too much. He looks away thoughtfully, lost in thought against the blue sky. He insists that no one from Pinghai School will pass, and she accuses him of being already unhappy with him. He takes in his surroundings carefully, and she looks away with a pink ball in her mouth as the people around them pass by against the backdrop of ancient buildings. He looks thoughtfully to the side, being on the street among passers-by against the background of an ancient building. He says thoughtfully that something seems certain, looking away. She puffs out her gum and asks if it's a little weird. He asks Cindy what had happened to her, noticing her frustration against the background of the city street. He speaks with confidence about the high level of Pinghai number, one school against the background of blue and purple fire. A man in a white coat confidently walks forward, and others watch him with varying degrees of interest and support. She is ecstatic and looks ahead with bright eyes, while in the background, a woman and a man are talking in the crowd. In the great hall, several people sit at long tables and eat, while others stand and talk against the walls. They noticed the girl and admired her beauty, urging each other to look at her. He said that this was their Qingping school, addressing the other party as the two sat with their backs to each other in the wood-paneled hall. A hand with chopsticks picks up a piece of fried chicken, accompanying the action with the word "come." She asks Guanning to share the food, saying that it's not enough for two, while the other turns to Xiaoyun and Xian. She looks down in embarrassment and explains that she didn't mean to offend anyone, feeling awkward. He wonders why someone is so popular, surrounded by roses and radiance. She asked her classmates if it was okay to sit across from them at the table during the meal. Several people are sitting and standing at a long table in a large room. One of them is serving food while others are talking and eating. He serves a plate of food, holding it with both hands on the table. He said that Pinghai gave up on the highest level of difficulty, while the other listened and drank from a glass. She asked if it was, and he said he hadn't taken the exams yet, so she was here to gather information while another girl watched them. He waves it off and says he just wants to make friends. She said that they had nothing to tell and asked the interlocutor to leave. He scratches the back of his head in embarrassment and smiles in the wood-paneled room. The four discuss Li Pengyun's school in a room with wooden furniture, while one of the girls expresses her determination. He tells about a schoolboy who passed a difficult exam 2 months ago and about his pere, plant beast poison ivy with a level not lower than the 3rd rank. They are surprised and discuss whether a high school student can have a 3rd rank beast pet. He explains that a genius and a rich heir are invincible, and the two girls are surprised and believe that their best pets will not be able to compare with him. She realized that her strong magic bird was now at rank 2, stage 7, and there was still a gap between them to rank 3. She says that they only contracted their first pet in their 3rd year and quickly passed the advanced level of apprenticeship assessment. 3 women discuss that it is impossible to train a pet to stage 8 rank 2 in half a year, and one suggests that it was already at stage 7 rank 2 when it was signed. He explains that with enough spirit power, a person can make a contract with a more powerful pet. She winks and shows a victory sign, expressing joy and optimism. He smiles and points, explaining something in a room with a large window and wooden furniture. They exclaimed in shock, surprised by the appearance of the double element. She explains that animals have double attributes distributed in some extreme cases. He reflects that the rock ghost is a combination of the ghost and stone types and believes that it is worth developing this dual attribute. He looks down with a smile, in a room with large windows and wood trim. He eats a chicken leg in a room with high walls and wood trim. 3 girls at the table discuss that someone didn't come today, pointing at the food in front of them. He apologized to a pink-haired girl and 2 men sitting at a table in a wood-paneled room. He says thoughtfully that he can't understand why this is happening and feels lost. He notices that someone is hiding something, watching a man in the distance in a room with wooden furniture. He orders me to check on that guy later, wand in mouth, while the other 2 are listening in the hallway. She speaks with determination. and he listens, sitting at his desk in a room with large windows and wood paneling. He said it was best to be modest, wiping your face with a handkerchief in a room with wooden walls and windows. The four of them walked down the corridor between the rows of chairs, empty plates, and a cup visible on the table. She speaks to high school students, and two girls listen to her with interest and readiness. He and she stand with their backs to each other in a bright room, and he says he can't believe what's happening. He is surprised to see three girls in bathing suits smiling and posing in front of him. He suddenly slapped her buttocks while they were standing in a room with wooden chairs and a wardrobe. He asked with a cigarette if anyone was going to go to their room tonight, while the other two watched in silence. He prepares to attack with a grin. She strikes a powerful blow with a red light in her eyes. He said with a smile that he liked it, clenching a fist at his mouth in a confident gesture. Two men laugh loudly, and two women and two men in the background look at them with surprise and wariness. He is standing behind her with a red, glowing eye, creating an ominous atmosphere, and she has lowered her head as if sensing a threat. He has a bright red eye that shows determination and tension in response to what is happening around him. She warns that if anyone fights here, they will definitely be punished while the two men are watching her. He said with a smirk that the high school is quite beautiful while gesturing with his hand. He says with a grin that they are weaklings, looking at the clenched fist in front of him. He deals a powerful blow to the enemy, who is forcefully thrown back. He shouts, "Brother Shurui!" as the two men fall to the ground with force, followed by a spray of blood. Two men are standing over their fallen opponent in a rage, preparing for the next blow in the empty hall. He is surrounded by an ominous aura and says that the other person can tell him everything if they dare. One is in shock. The other looks in surprise at the man who has fallen to the floor and is breathing heavily. His eyes are bright and his expression is tense as he looks ahead against the background of the fiery light, as if preparing for an important event. He took a fighting stance and offered to compete, preparing for a fight in an empty room. He grabbed her wrist sharply and ordered her to stop. He exclaimed Yoon's name in alarm, and the latter remained calm and indifferent. He noted that the other's punch was so strong that it should count as a draw, referring to the two standing in the room. He looks towards the window and starts talking, but his words are not visible in the image. He said that when he returned, he could be contacted with complaints, while others watched what was happening in the hall with long tables and chairs. Two men stand side by side, surrounded by blue and green flames, radiating intense energy. He watches the three of them walk forward, talking among themselves in a large room with rows of chairs. He said with a sinister smile that it looked like Ling Zi was the one in front of him. The room is filled with thick steam and bubbles, creating a hazy atmosphere. Three girls in the bathroom, one complaining of being cramped and irritated, the others smiling and holding hands. With a smile and a loving look, she thanks you for your help in training, surrounded by hearts. She happily reports that the beasts have reached the second level, which increases their chances of winning. She's in the bathroom asking you to stop touching her without permission. She happily said the word day while beaming with happiness. He stands at a high monolith in the hall, and many people gather in front of him, ready to start the event. He stands at the wall and talks about the high level of the first group of candidates of this year. He stated with a serious expression that this was the worst group of students. He's shouting and pointing at something. Two men are watching him, and she's in shock and reacts with her mouth open. He looks at her in exasperation, and she points and shouts at him in a rage. A man in a white lab coat explains to a group of people that the upcoming exam will be held in the illusion of a stone tablet with no choice of difficulty. He announced that the exam was called Secret Forest, showing a glowing red crystal. Silhouettes of creatures appear in the forest, surrounded by glowing bubbles against the background of autumn trees and falling leaves. A vicious creature with red eyes and sharp teeth appears in the forest, making threatening noises. The image shows the open mouth of a huge predatory creature with sharp teeth against the background of a forest. He explains that the panel will increase points based on the number of ferocious beasts killed. The image shows three silhouettes of ferocious beasts with their rank and corresponding points, 10, 20, and 40. He explains that sometimes a person is both a hunter and a victim, and if they die in the illusion, they are considered eliminated. He is wearing a white lab coat and addressing a group of people standing in front of him in a bright room with a large window. He speaks with a serious expression about the need to be careful. He smiles with a shadow on his face against a background of red light, creating an ominous atmosphere. A group of people are standing in a circle, and one of them says that this incites them to kill each other. He said that now they can go all out, hugging two people in a large hall with high windows. She is standing in the church, blowing gum, while 3 people look in the direction of the crowd. He says that the real battle is much tougher and suggests that those who want to surrender declare it now. 4 new students with different expressions prepare to fight for the title of king among them. She thinks that if she doesn't make it to the top 10, she can still help him. He explains to her to use the flying magic bird's ability to find and reunite with him as soon as possible after entering the illusion. She smiles with confidence and glows with joy as she prepares to say something important. A man in a white lab coat asks everyone to sit quietly in front of the assembled audience. The image shows a spectacular background with the inscription, "Enter the illusion," creating an atmosphere of immersion in the illusion. He stands in the forest under the trees, surrounded by greenery and light, observing the surrounding nature. He pointed to a red stone tablet that appeared among the trees and said its name. He looks at the screen on his wrist, which shows that he has 0 points and 3 hours and 59 minutes left. He looks at his hand and thinks that the information shows only the current account, and you can only find out if you entered the top 10 at the central stone table. He explains that if you don't go to the stone tablet and just blindly collect points, even with a high ranking, the coordinates will still be displayed. He thinks it will definitely attract a siege from other players. He looks ahead thoughtfully and thinks that if you are strong enough, you can become different. The text says that you need to completely ignore the rules, and only the strong can take points from others. He claims that happiness is the most important thing, even though the other character reminds him that this is just a game. The image shows the moment of a strong impact or explosion, with flying fragments against a red sky background. He stands in the protective field and looks in surprise at the 2-headed python, which also expresses bewilderment. He stands behind a protective barrier while 2 red-eyed snakes try to break through to him. A dark warrior with red eyes and armored hair lands abruptly in the forest, preparing to fight or attack. He decides to hide the power and test the true potential of the stone ghost, considering that the dual attributes are worth developing. He watches a snake with red eyes that suddenly appears in front of him. He explains that level 1 stage 9 has 10 points, but the strength is almost no different from level 2 stage 1 with 20 points, standing next to a creature in armor. He enthusiastically offered to try out stronger and fiercer beasts to test his strength. He says thoughtfully that he's a little worried about whether Guan Ning can successfully find him. She walks through the forest with the fire creature behind her, hoping that everything will go well. She exhaled and noted that 3 hours and 45 minutes remained, standing next to the firebird in the forest. She orders the magic bird to fly up, pointing at it in the forest. In the sky above the forest, you can see a fiery phoenix, and above the silhouette of a man with a blue trail flying towards it. She asks with a serious expression where Lindsay's brother is. The image shows a view of the sky through the foliage of trees in the forest, without visible characters or dialogues. The hero looks intently. His eye glows with a bright light against the background of the forest. A man with a lightning-emitting creature fights a giant snail while another runs away from a green flying monster in the forest. 3 monkeys cheerfully jump and wave their hands against the background of the forest, expressing joy and friendliness. He notices a fiery beast that suddenly appears nearby and thinks that pets can't be far away from their owners. She decided to try her luck and find Ling Jai's brother from the coordinates on the stone tablet, counting on his strength to enter the top 10. He runs away, and the creature with yellow fur and a long neck tries to catch up with him. She jumps on top of the startled ostrich, which explodes abruptly in flames against the backdrop of the forest. A mysterious creature with red eyes plunges into a fiery stream, creating a sense of powerful and dangerous energy. A fire strike hits the bird, and someone notes that they easily earned 20 points. The image shows a powerful impact accompanied by a bright flash and a fire effect, but the characters are not visible. She abruptly asks who it is, noticing something unexpected. He raises a crescent-shaped weapon with 2 crosses in it. One character in a fur suit is holding a weapon, while the other is smiling and laughing softly while standing behind him in the forest. He says with a smile that you should not underestimate his capabilities. She reproaches him for the disgrace of stealing by murder, and he replies that the rules do not prohibit this and he does not just want to steal. He enthusiastically orders Odo to shoot down the stupid bird, pointing his finger forward. He lands a powerful kick, creating a bright burst of energy. It sharply warns to avoid quickly. She notices that a firebird and a flying disc are moving directly towards her, causing her surprise and alarm. She is knocked back by a blow from a large glowing hand in the forest. He complimented her on her quick maneuver while holding her tightly and covering her mouth with his hand. He says that it is now impossible to give orders to the magic firebird, confirming this with a question. He explains that the main advantage of humanoid pets is their intelligence and will, while he holds the girl, covering her mouth with his hand. He grabbed Firebird's wing tightly, trying to hold her down. He stands behind her and speaks, and she covers her mouth with her hand, expressing fear and tension. A dark warrior with red eyes pokes a creature lying on the ground, while a man in the distance stands with his back to them, watching them in the forest. He looks thoughtfully at his watch while in the woods among the trees and shrubs. He watches a giant ape-like creature and a monster with a big mouth, which are designated as second-rank enemies at different stages. He stands on the grass and looks down, lost in thought. The pink creature twirls happily, noting that it has earned points. He warns you not to relax and says that he has 60 points. He watches as another man greets the robot in the woods, preparing to start a conversation. He confirms the appeal to Zhou Xiong's brother, who thinks that he can use ignorance of his identity for his own purposes. He, with horns and glowing eyes, wonders if this is a rare beast and why he hasn't seen it before. He is thinking about something while standing in front of two people, one of whom says that his ore can't be considered rare. He explains that this is a normal D-level pet that has only been upgraded to the second rank. It shows a large creature with a mouth and explains that it is a rare and strange monster, upgraded to rank 2, stage 7. He laughs and offers to help him earn points by celebrating their fateful encounter. He happily raised his hands and said that it was great. He looks down with a smug smile, creating an ominous atmosphere. She sharply attacks the man, striking him with a strong kick. He gritted his teeth and grimaced, as if trying to control his pain or annoyance. He stares in horror, his eyes wide and glistening with fear. She claimed that her brother had acted first last time and promised not to let him get away so easily. He reacts in surprise to the sudden appearance of a bright purple flame coming from his hand. The scene shows a dark creature with horns and glowing eyes surrounded by purple and pink fire, creating an atmosphere of powerful magical attack. He raises his hands to a ghostly creature with horns and glowing eyes flying above him in the forest. He screams in terror, surrounded by an ominous atmosphere and darkness. He shouts for the wolf-headed creature to come back while she stands nearby on the ground. She notices that the interlocutor's pet is behaving independently and considers this a bad sign. With a smile, he shows the middle finger and says that this is his request. Against a clear sky with leaves and dust, a sudden cry of "Anne!" rang out. She noticed that this man's points had been added and heard the message about 70 points. The image shows a rating with 5 names and their corresponding numeric values from 170 to 60. He reflects that this set of candidates turned out to be better than he expected, and someone has already scored more than 100 points in an hour. He stands surrounded by a pink glow, looking ahead at the blurry forest landscape. He is standing in the forest, in front of a huge beast designated as Spotted Tiger, beast type, rank 3, stage 1. A mysterious tree-bark creature with glowing eyes stands in the forest, radiating an ominous energy. A huge beast with claws rushes at a man and a creature with a plant appearance standing on the grass. Green tentacles attack a snarling creature with sharp claws and eyes that glow yellow. The predator jumps up to grab the long-limbed flying creature. A huge creature with sharp teeth furiously grabs green tentacles against the background of a red explosion. He is standing in the forest, in front of a huge tentacled beast that is preparing to attack. He closed his eyes and said, "Find the next one." The character's eye glows yellow, expressing intense tension and determination in the moment. The image shows the moment of a powerful impact, which involves a leopard with bright eyes, surrounded by an explosion and blood spatter. A creature with a green glowing face stands on a large animal in the forest, preparing to attack or explore prey. The image shows moving green tentacles interacting with the ground, creating a vibration or capture effect. It depicts a giant green creature with many tentacles rising above the ground in a mystical atmosphere. He watches as the wounded animal tries to escape, despite the rope binding it. He crossed his arms with a sly smile and glowing eyes, radiating confidence and mysterious energy against the green glow. 2 people are looking at the ranking table, where Li Pengyun is leading with 210 points, and the other participants have fewer points. He speaks with confidence, and she listens attentively in the forest against the background of trees. She looks thoughtfully ahead at the background of the forest, preparing to say something. He looks at the holographic rating screen and says that it's too early to act against Li Pengyun. He looks up with a slight smile, his face half hidden by a shadow against the red light. She remembers the talented Lin Zi and wonders why his name doesn't appear. He thinks that the person they are talking about just cheated in some way and has an empty reputation. The image shows a blurry green forest with a motion effect that creates the feeling of moving quickly or falling down. As she walks through the forest, a fiery bird suddenly appears in front of her with its wings outstretched. She examines her surroundings and mentally notes that there is a wind, cutting mantis on the left and a carnivorous plant on the right. She thoughtfully asks where her brother is and in which direction she should go to find him. 3 people are walking along a forest path, one of them wearing a mask with horns, and the other wearing a hat and a t-shirt with the inscription. The image shows a monster plant with a withered appearance, designated as a withered beast of the 2nd rank and 4th stage. He plans to land the finishing blow and collect the points while the other is almost done fighting, with 2 people standing in the background, one with red eyes and horns. He with red hair strikes a powerful blow at the opponent, accompanied by the sound of impact. In the forest, a creature in armor with red eyes is silent, and a man is watching him. A sign with a crossed-out mask appears next to it. He's in shock at the thought of being knocked out with a single punch. The screen shows the remaining time and current points of the participants, where Li Pengyun is in the lead, and a total of 17 people have already been eliminated. He stands by the window and thinks about Lin Ji, who rose from rank 33 to rank 9 in 2 hours with his skills. He notices that Sensei is working with someone else, watching the 2 figures walking away down the path. One of them reproaches the other for attacking too quickly, the second asks to share, and the third apologizes for it. He says that in every battle you need to give your best. Referring to Brother Joe, there is a creature in armor with red eyes and horns standing next to him. He is annoyed that the opponent is behaving arrogantly and promises to eliminate him and collect points in the end. He looks thoughtfully at the screen and wonders if a rare item means more points. The 3 of them walk towards a huge golden tree in the forest, while the pink creature watches them from behind. He is surprised to see a real golden tree and believes that it should bring bonus points. It falls down hard, surrounded by dynamic lines that emphasize the speed and force of the impact. He bounces off the ground, dodging 2 blows accompanied by explosions, and expresses annoyance. He's hanging upside down, curled up in the arms of a giant snake, and a fire is burning down below. He is fighting a withered golden plant-type beast that has grabbed him with its branches. He hangs upside down and says in a panic that it is a withered golden monster. He pleads with the large creature to save him, while it and another creature with large mouths are entwined with snake-like creatures. He shouts that the plant is draining all of his spiritual energy and asks his brother to help him while he stands on the sidelines. He, sweating and clenching his teeth, asks not to compare this with other cases, claiming that the situation is different. They walk through a sunny clearing, and he raises his hand to explain something to the armored man. He falls down and begs his brother to wait and help him. He stands on the grass and asks what they will offer him in return for his help. He is angry about the blackmail and promises to take revenge if he is saved, while the other one with a grin hints at a good deal. He is standing in front of a huge creature that says it wants to talk. In a panic, he asks his brother to save him first, expressing great despair and fear. He reflects on unique soul techniques, comparing them to Rhoda's enhancement, and finds this information valuable. He is wearing armor with red eyes and hair, and shouts that it is a belly, and sharply attacks. He sharply strikes a strong fist, creating the effect of movement and tension. It deals a powerful blow to the golden creature, causing a strong explosion of energy. The red-haired man delivers powerful punches, surrounded by bright flashes and dynamic effects. He is in full armor as he fights off a giant orange-skinned creature that is waving its massive limbs in the forest. The image shows the moment of a powerful impact, accompanied by an explosion and a bright flash, but the characters are not visible. The image shows rapid golden flashes falling down against a background of pink and white stripes. A dark demon with red eyes and horns is tied with thick golden chains, trying to break out of them with rage. He reflects on the fact that his 2nd rank and 9th stage beast is still having a hard time dealing with a 3rd rank and 9th stage golden beast. He sees how the opponent can't break out of the hold and decides to summon the Snow Maiden to finish the fight quickly. With red glowing eyes and horns, it is held in a tight golden embrace and makes a sound that expresses effort or pain. He shouts with rage in his eyes against the background of red lines, expressing strong emotions. A character with red glowing eyes and a mask demands that the opponent is already free, expressing impatience and challenge. A fiery creature suddenly attacks, causing the observer to be surprised and startled. He was completely bound by numerous thick golden tentacles that tightly entangled his body. The image shows the moment when an object with bright light and motion effect disappears or dissipates. He screams in a panic that they are in trouble and the situation is about to get worse. He stands with his back against a pink sky, and the screen shows the time and number of people eliminated, 27. He stands thoughtfully and reflects on the strength of the genius boy who overcame the highest difficulty. The image shows golden tentacles that move and create a cloud of black smoke against the sky and trees. The image shows a vortex of dark energy with lightning against the background of space, creating a sense of powerful and destructive phenomenon. He lies on the grass and looks up in surprise, preparing to say something. The character activates the new ability, Ghost Form, with a duration of 30 seconds, surrounded by a mystical blue light and energy. He hangs upside down, wrapped in a golden snake, and exclaims in bewilderment, asking what kind of situation this is. He ponders the special abilities of the dual attributes and decides to test their power in ghost form. A huge creature made of wood lets out a roar, expressing rage and strength. It is surrounded by golden ribbons of energy, emitting dark flames and preparing for a powerful attack. He is suddenly attacked by tentacles coming from a huge evil tree with an expression of surprise and question. He speculates that the ghost stone's ghost shape is invulnerable to physical damage and control because it doesn't have a physical body, and considers this to be very strong. He orders you to use the stone shot technique and aim for the enemy's eyes and stomach. A dark figure surrounded by blue flames is concentrating on preparing an energy ball in his hand, demonstrating power and determination. A huge creature with a horn receives a powerful blow accompanied by sounds of destruction. He fell to the ground and exclaimed in pain as the giant tentacles fell beside him in the forest. He reflects that the level gap is too large and the damage dealt is not enough to kill the golden withered creature. One yells for the other to run faster and stop daydreaming while the creature grabs his leg in the woods. He anxiously says that if the boy dies here, all his glasses will be lost. He looks at the creature, which grabs the other one and orders it to run away. The image shows a powerful explosion or impact with bright flashes and dynamic lines that convey force and movement. The image shows several fire objects falling or moving at high speed against a green background. He addresses someone by saying the words, "Snow Maiden." He protects her with an ice shield from the attacks of the fire tentacles. He says the word "use" against a blue abstract pattern. She uses water magic to create swirls and ice shards to attack the giant tree. He orders the stone ghost to appear, saying that now is the right time. He is wearing armor and has red eyes as he shouts the name of the attack, Crushing Impact, and swiftly delivers a powerful blow. The image shows a powerful explosion with the silhouette of a huge skull, creating a sense of threat and destruction. He attacks sharply, exclaiming, "Ow!" Zrenya, delivering a powerful blow to the ice opponent. She is concentrating on summoning ice magic, preparing to attack or defend. It is surrounded by a blue glow and destroys the golden monster, which shatters into pieces under a powerful blow. He stated with determination that the battle wasn't over yet, preparing for the next action. He strikes a powerful blow at a creature with a head made of wood, causing a bright burst of energy. The two watch as a huge golden object with blue shards collapses and emits steam on a grassy field. The image shows a close-up of the creature's head with its eyes closed and text expressing fatigue or weakness. He stands in the forest next to the stone ghost, while information about upgrading the ghost clone skill to rank 3 appears on the screen. He explains that a useful skill costs more and encourages you to learn it. He is amazed and thinks that this child is incredible, especially because of the ice pet with divine potential that just appeared. He looks thoughtfully out into the woods and reflects that he can't afford to make any more mistakes. 4 people walk through a clearing surrounded by trees, and one of them calls the creature a beast. He asks in amazement and alarm if the other person really defeated the enemy. One man pointed at the approaching girl and asked the other if she was a candidate and from which school. He realized that he had forgotten to remember the Snow Maiden, and now he couldn't continue to pretend that he had been noticed. He points at her and says that she also looks like a humanoid ice creature, but she doesn't say anything. In a panic, he retorts that this is not the case and calls the type ice. He remains silent, feeling awkward and confused about the situation. She looks at the two men and sees a sign telling them to pretend to attack. With crystal horns and pink eyes, she looks puzzled, and question marks appear around her to indicate that she doesn't understand the situation. He nods at the words of the other, who points to them and tells them that someone is following them. One of the characters releases ice spikes from above, while the other two watch from behind a tree. He panics and tells them that they are really going to be attacked, but they both look scared and cry. She is concentrating on summoning ice blades as she prepares to attack against the backdrop of the forest. He reflects that if both are eliminated, it will be a big loss, and prefers to first eliminate the person standing next to him and then run away. A small pink creature with a tail falls down, expressing bewilderment. He asked why it was swallowed, and the creature said it did it to protect him. She stands in front of a screen that says she's fine and tells the other person to leave first. He and the pink creature are breathing heavily, propped up on their knees, resting against the greenery. He stands tensely next to the pink creature, who exclaims happily that everything is perfect. He anxiously asked if it was safe now. He asks with a relaxed smile what can happen to him and whether it is possible to let him go now. He's surprised that the baby that was supposed to be digested is still okay. He falls backwards, trying to dodge an attack from a large pink creature that is snarling and drooling. He asked in shock how the other one was able to get out. He zips up his jacket and looks down, lost in thought. He suggests teaming up to defeat the enemy by addressing a man in a headband in the background of a forest. He thought with a grin that someone was a complete idiot. He says they don't seem to be being chased anymore, standing in a clearing across from another man in the woods. He suggests that we first go to the stone monument, pointing to it in the forest. They discuss that the exclusive spirit technique is a unique ability that is only available to a few talented beastmasters, depending on their physical constitution, and cannot be learned from books. He pointed to a tall pink obelisk and said that this was it. The screen shows the rating of participants with points and the remaining time of 58 seconds. He thinks that there is still a chance to get into the top 10 if he adds another participant's points to his own. A man in a hat addresses another person with his back to him, calling him a child. He shows a digital tattoo on his forearm that reads, "Score 100 Amati." He notices with surprise and excitement that the child really has 180 points, expressing this with an exclamation. He sits on the grass against the wall and tries to say something with a tremor, repeating, you. He says Lin Jie's name while crossing his arms and looking ahead with a serious expression. He is shocked and shouts in alarm, expressing surprise and dissatisfaction. He realized that someone who passed the super difficult level can have 2 pets, and he realized that the ice beast also belongs to the opponent who hid the power to defeat it. He shouts furiously that he won't tell you anything and prepares to stab the other person. Someone orders a large mouth to crush the opponent, showing his open mouth with sharp teeth. He slashed at the opponent, delivering a powerful and swift kick to the chest. The image shows the moment of a strong impact or explosion with the effect of movement and sound accompaniment. A hand wrapped in blue energy emits light and magical swirls, creating a sense of powerful spell or power. She uses ice magic to freeze the enemy and calls him Big Mouth. 3 characters approach a fallen man who utters a sound of pain while lying on the ground by a pond in the forest. He says that he will take the points despite their small number, since they are worth a rare 3rd-rank beast, while the others go through the forest. In a panic, he begs to be released and promises to tell everything he knows. He smiles and greets the other man, who is standing in front of him with a cap on, arms outstretched against the bright light. He shouts with rage and frustration, expressing his displeasure with the words, "Damn it!" He suddenly receives a powerful blow to the stomach, causing him shock and pain. He with horns says that he can't let them go, and the other 2 listen to him in the background of trees. The long-haired man said that he had been waiting for her for a long time, standing next to the creature with green glowing eyes and horns. He warns the boss that Ling Zi and the ice beast are in front of them, and they need to be careful. He suddenly met this person and thought that they now had unfinished business to complete. He told her that she could go to rest, and she turned away in silence, causing him to laugh. He said with a grin that his boss had taken his glasses. He raised his hand and said he didn't think it was a total loss. In the clearing, an ice block melts, from which steam rises and disappears into the air. The screen shows a ranking with points, where Li Pengyun is ranked 1st and Xing Tian is ranked 8th. He encourages you to show real strength and find out who deserves to be number one among the newcomers, addressing the two standing in the forest. He says something while standing next to the red creature, and she notices with a smile that he admits defeat. He mockingly stated that he did not expect cowardice and promised to destroy everyone from the top after he coped with the interlocutor. He talks with a crazy smile about the pleasure of destroying everyone. 4 characters are standing on the grass in front of a large pink structure. One of them mentally addresses Guanning. He realized that Tang'an, Guoxin, and Guanning were in the same zone, and he knew that Guanning was in danger. He quickly runs towards the robot in the forest, while saying that he is moving to the east. He orders the creature to stop the fleeing creature, expressing surprise that it is actually running. The long-limbed creature plummets down, surrounded by bright lights and sound effects. He bursts into the fray, attacking a creature with red hair and metal armor wrapped in green snake-like tentacles. He bounces in concentration inside a glowing protective ball surrounded by rotating golden rings. He orders the Vine Demon to drain the energy and challenges, saying that opponents can try to escape if they dare. He looks determined and says something important, surrounded by blue light. He stated that he didn't have time to play with her while she was following him in the woods. He suddenly noticed something and expressed surprise and bewilderment. She forcefully attacks a huge ice giant that suddenly appeared in front of her. A creature with a black head and glowing eyes sharply attacks another, causing him to be surprised. She is concentrating on using ice magic, creating sharp crystals in the forest. A character with horns delivers a powerful blow, breaking ice shards against the background of a bright flash of energy. He stands with his back turned, concentrating on the swirl of energy in front of him. He said that he didn't have time to play with them and walked forward while the other 2 followed him past the broken ice figure on the ground. On the ground are broken green pieces of blue crystals that emit light and smoke. Lu Gong says that the hunter missed the moment and he is waiting for his chance, comparing the situation to a bird hunt. He stretches out his hand towards the ice figure in the forest, as if trying to make contact with it. The image shows a large monster with spikes and glowing eyes, preparing to attack or defend. He points to the creature and says that the pet can be resurrected, but what will happen to it? He orders the capture of the king first to catch the thieves, while a sharp blow occurs with blue shards flying. He confidently says that he won first place and luck is part of the real power. He looked at the inscription on his hand in surprise and said, "Huh?" He noticed a strange movement in the forest and said it was strange while the creature was growling behind him. He moved swiftly forward with a determined expression and glowing eyes, creating the feeling of a powerful blow or attack. He grabbed the other's arm and shouted, demanding to know what was wrong with him and why he was doing this. He announces that this is his exclusive spirit technique called imitation synchronization. He tensely holds a thick branch in his hands and orders to attack the iron-armored dragon. He cast the spell Iron Dragon in Armor while the other one was standing in front of him in the forest, and the huge dragon with dark armor was lying on the ground. The image shows a high-impact collision followed by an explosion and dust with no visible characters. He stated with determination that the enemy must die preparing to attack. In the forest, he and she observe creatures in magical realms, preparing for a possible battle or exploration. 2 dragons, one light, the other dark with purple fire, collide in battle against the backdrop of nature. She is angry that she can't break free, and someone warns her not to waste her strength, calling her by her first name, Guanning. He stands with his hands clasped, and behind him appears a 3rd-rank, 2nd-stage necromancer, a type of ghost spirit in water. He explains that the necromancer's water prison is impassable and cannot be escaped. He says that he will leave her in her care, standing next to the girl and the mysterious creature in the forest. She asks if it's because the other one is too beautiful that he can't attack her, but he doesn't answer. He said doubtfully that he wasn't interested in other girls, standing with his arms crossed against the trees. She creates a protective barrier of water as 2 men and a mysterious creature watch her in the woods. She resolutely says to wait until a big fish takes the bait against the background of the forest. He notices a swift and powerful kick called Earth Spike. He creates a water shield, protecting himself and the girl from attacks directed in their direction. The creature with horns and purple smoke attacks with a powerful blow, destroying the ground and rocks around it. He calls Guo Xinyi and Tang Yun as they walk through the forest past the water waves. He looks forward with a determined expression against the background of red flames, preparing for the upcoming challenge. She warned him that they were being chased by 2 demons, and he warily prepared for battle. He thinks about Ling's pets and knows that now is not the time to be surprised. He promises to save the girl in the water balloon while the others watch what is happening in the forest. She smiles and says that from the very beginning she felt that something was wrong. He clenches his hands into fists as she tries to get his attention in the woods. He explains that if he defeats an opponent and passes the points, the other person will become the head of the new class, and if he loses, the other person will take his points. He orders the necromancer to restrain the enemy by using the spell Water Prison to capture the skeletal creature. It concentrates energy around itself, creating a powerful explosion with the Soul Force impact effect. As he clenches his fist and prepares to strike, the red-haired creature lunges at him in the woods. He uses the water pillar assault technique to attack, creating a tall pillar of water in front of him. He is surrounded by an explosion of water and imprisoned in a water prison. He looks at the person floating in the bubble and orders to catch one of them first. He casts the spell Ghostly Spirit Form, and a dark figure appears in front of him in a glow. He uses a powerful attack called Earth Spike, causing an explosion and ejection of the earth. It transforms into the form of a ghostly spirit, radiating powerful energy and light. He explains with a grin that his necromancer is also a type of ghost spirit. She shouts a warning to someone to look back, calling them a fool. He pushes off with force and soars into the air, preparing for a powerful blow or jump. The character creates a clone of a ghostly spirit surrounded by blue flames and energy. He watches a battle in the forest, where two blue creatures attack a man who falls to the ground. He shouts for the seal of the spirit of death to be used. The dark silhouette unleashes a powerful attack called Seal of the Spirit of Death, surrounded by a blue and purple energy vortex. He and she are standing in a forest clearing, surrounded by dark creatures with purple auras, preparing to fight them. He stopped the attack, explaining that he didn't want to fight, and she was standing behind him, watching what was happening. With a grin and tension in his voice, he taunts the genius that everyone is talking about in the forest, surrounded by blue mystical flames. He looks resolutely ahead and says that now he will show his strength, preparing for action. He and she float in the bright light, and a girl with pink hair falls down, surrounded by a rushing stream of air. She panics, realizing that they will definitely be destroyed, and expresses this in words with anxiety and fear. She stopped abruptly and shouted, "Just a minute," to the man who had been watching her intently in the woods. He suggests that we discuss something while standing in the background of the forest. He is standing in the forest, and she says behind his back that he has 16 hands. She demands that Tang En immediately release the girl, to which he reacts in surprise. He anxiously says that if you let her go and they unite, the situation will get even worse for them. He orders her to do as he says, and she agrees, recognizing him as the boss. She jumps up, dodging a blast of water flying in her direction. The little creature abruptly lets go of the red-eyed fire beast, which soars into the air against the backdrop of the forest. He smiles, and she clenches her fist and says something with determination. He looks ahead with a serious expression and exudes intense energy. With rage in his eyes, he vows to fight to the end with the enemy, calling him a scoundrel. She reacts in surprise to the words of the interlocutor, who claims that he has something that will satisfy her. He was surprised to hear footsteps, and she was looking ahead intently. He says there is no need as long as she stands in the forest without turning around to look at him. He asks in shock not to tell him anything, and she resolutely prepares for action. A group of characters in the forest spots one of them, and he is surprised that he is still alive. The man with the long hair said that everyone gathered in time so that he could get rid of them right away, and behind him is a creature made of wood with green eyes. He angrily said that the other person was starting to annoy him and loudly shouted, "One!" He suggests that we work together to take first place while the others listen to him in the woods. He looks out the window at a group of people gathered in a meadow beyond the pink border. He says it's the other person's turn to step in, standing at the big window next to the pink crystal. She apologizes and says that she really wants to help him while the two are standing behind in the forest. He is shocked and screams, not believing that Guo Xinyi can have a crush on that guy. Enraged, he vows to deal with the enemies on his own. He challenged everyone to battle at once, standing in front of a glowing creature with green eyes. He holds her hand tightly when he sees the two approaching and expresses surprise when he sees them in the woods. A bright blue energy ball appears in the forest, surrounded by a swirl of light and energy. He explains that the four are middle-level academy sophomores and wants to see their true capabilities as they go along. She indignantly declares that this is unfair because they are not considered freshmen yet and asks how they can beat sophomores. One man says with a grin that everyone has been through a lot of battles, while the other looks tense and clenches his fist. She says their pets are tired too, expressing this with confidence and a slight smile. He challenged her to a duel, and she watched him anxiously in the background of the forest. He says that he can't eliminate the other person, so they are now classmates, and there will be many opportunities to fight ahead. He clenches his fist as he watches a group of people standing in the distance in a sunny clearing among the trees. She asked if that meant they were now allies, addressing him while the third character was watching them in the forest. She exclaims that her brother hasn't agreed to it yet. The four characters discuss that the opponent sent only 4, even though there are 5 of them, and feel that they are being underestimated. He says that if she wants to be an ally, she must do something while they are standing in the background of the trees. One of the girls confessed her desire to be with him, addressing the man standing in front of them on the grass. He put his hand on her head, and she told him firmly that she could handle them all on her own. Si Tao challenged everyone to a fight and said that he was ready to fight even against several at the same time. He is determined to prove his strength to Guo Xinyi by clenching his fists against the grass. He controls a giant praying mantis and warns you not to rush into battle recklessly. She challenged him to become her opponent by addressing a man with a creature nearby in the forest. He covered his face with his hand and said that he would not spare the interlocutor. She summons the Lightning Lion, a rank 3 and stage 9 beast that is surrounded by bright blue energy. She says with a mysterious smile that she is not going to stop despite the warnings. He points out his unusual hairstyle and says it annoys him. He agrees and asks the elder not to treat him too hard, expressing respect and caution. She looks angry and tense, clearly preparing for a serious conversation or conflict. She with pink eyes look at each other in silence, expressing surprise and tension. In the great hall, several people express frustration and annoyance. One of them exclaims that everything is bad, and the other quietly sighs. She cries and says she doesn't want to die, and he tries to calm her down by putting his hand on her shoulder. She says that there are too many geniuses, and without a miracle, they will definitely be eliminated, referring to the girl with pink hair. He desperately regretted playing cautiously for the entire match, but he still lost in the end. He wonders thoughtfully why the pain still feels a little off. He turns around and expresses a restrained displeasure, thinking that this time someone has stood out. Gao Wenbai smiles and puts his hand on the shoulder of the other man, who says that this applies to him. He chided the other for coming to pick up the students that he had carefully selected. He smiles and says that isn't it too much trying to find a few golden candidates among those who have previously failed. 2 men are standing facing a group of people. One of them raises his hand to address them. He said that he had 10 free spots left, and that anyone who passes his test will be able to participate. 2 girls happily hold hands and smile, exchanging warm words against the background of bright flowers. He clenches his fists tightly, expressing determination, while the other 2 stand behind him, ignoring him. It abruptly landed on the ground in the forest, causing a small burst of energy to appear all around. He watches as the whirlwind lifts several figures into the air and expresses annoyance, saying that this is clearly something serious. The image shows bright blue flashes and lightning on a black background, creating the effect of a powerful energy attack or explosion. She admires the blue-spiked creature's stamina, warning that it is already lost and the battle will become one-sided. She says with a grin that he can't hear her anymore while his eyes are glowing green. A red warrior with a sword walks through the forest, and she with blue hair ironically calls the genius funny. A berserker with a horned helmet declares that there are not enough geniuses in this school, and 2 people sitting on the grass listen to him. She angrily says that the time is better spent on training and demands confirmation that she is understood. He explains to Gao that he is deliberately trying to suppress their spirits by standing side by side against the red mist. He smiles and addresses the teacher, saying, "Teacher." 2 men watch a bright explosion, and one notices that someone is not amenable to their methods. He looks in surprise at the huge shining ice horse, which is designated as Blazing Warhorse Beast Type Rank 3, Stage 9. He is shocked and shouts that this is impossible, with his mouth wide open and a tense expression on his face. He watches the boy standing next to the icy figure of a horse and addresses him as senior. She claims victory as he watches doubtfully, arms crossed against the backdrop of the forest. He says with a smile that he has seen many geniuses before, but there is something special about this person. He notices that they look like the 8 legendary prodigies of the Federation in their youth. 2 men stare at the vivid image, and one admires how inspiring it really is. He is indignant at the unfairness of the placement of the top 10 students, and Teacher Gao just laughs while listening to him. A message about the defeat of the warhorse appears on the screen, and in the background you can see the sky with clouds and a falling leaf. He sits on the ground and desperately admits that he lost. She happily exclaims that her brother really won and calls it an amazing event. She looks alarmed and says that she didn't expect anything from being in the background of the forest. He leans heavily on the ground and says that there is still a gap that needs to be addressed. The group discusses that a freshman who is not yet enrolled has already defeated a second-year student. He asked if they were seniors, and the man with the patch on his forehead said that he shouldn't look down on them because of the trick in winning. He smiles with confidence against the blue light, as if he's ready for an upcoming event. The green creature attacks sharply, and someone exclaims that this is very arrogant. He abruptly jumps on top of the opponent with red hair, delivering a powerful blow. 2 creatures fight in the air. One of them inflicts a powerful blow with green blades on the other. The 2 men discuss that Zetao was not an equal opponent from the start, and warn of possible consequences for the sophomores. He calls Teacher Chen loudly and says that only Lin Zi passed the test, and the others also did well, believing in their strength growth. He prepares for a battle with a giant insect in the forest, deciding to settle the conflict personally. He smiles and tells the older one that there is no point in fighting, because the older one is better. He angrily warned the other person to be careful and called him a scoundrel. The 3 characters watch the glowing pillars of energy in the clearing, and she expresses surprise. He looks at a hand surrounded by flames and receives a baptism reward in the form of increased strength and body stats. He confidently stated that he would go to Jiangning Academy surrounded by a red energy glow. He clenches his fist with force, and the system reports the completion of the baptism and the accrual of achievement points. He reports with red glowing eyes and a sinister smile that Rock Ghost's power boost has increased to 33%. She looks ahead intently, and a message appears that the Snow Maiden indicator has increased to 12%. The crowd cheers for the strong man's return as he sits on the ground, while the surrounding people watch him closely. She exclaimed when she saw her brother lying on the floor, and the other 2 were watching what was happening. He asked her in surprise if that was true, and she listened intently. She shows a peace sign and says it's an exclusive soul technique. He demands silence and announces that the top 10 students are officially accepted. A group of people pay attention to Li Pengyun, who is being called out by someone, and prepare to cheer him up with a round of applause. He and the other man applaud, and he says M in surprise. She walks thoughtfully, saying to herself that she can't believe it's him. He is furiously aware that the other person performed better and considers this a humiliation. He says there's no need to worry, and he listens carefully, not looking away. He told the group to follow him to the resurrection trial, pointing ahead with his hand while another man stood next to him. She encouraged the 2 girls, saying that everyone would be able to pass the resurrection test and wished them to do their best. He greets Lin Zi, addressing him as a brother. He scratched the back of his head and said with a smile that he hadn't expected this turn of events. He smiles happily and folds his hands in a gesture of gratitude or greeting. He happily exclaims about the endless river, raising his hand and smiling against the background of glowing rays. One of them promises to pass, asking the boss to wait, and the other is silent, watching what is happening. On an empty street, you can see several cars and 2 people, one of whom suggests not to go back today. He told her to relax as they walk down the street with the sunset sky and city buildings in the background. She says thoughtfully that something will happen tonight, looking at the other person. He agrees with the interlocutor, saying, "Yes, well," against the background of city buildings. She looks ahead with a slight smile and slightly flushed cheeks. He tries to stop her by saying, "Wait," while she turns away with her eyes closed and fists clenched. He looks in surprise at the phone screen with hotel prices, noticing the same price of $2,999. He sweats intensely and looks anxiously ahead, expressing inner anxiety and fear. She tries to explain something, and he looks at the phone and answers hesitantly. The roofs of buildings are visible against the sunset sky, creating an atmosphere of calm and comfort in the urban environment. In front of the building with large windows is a sign that says a premium restaurant that allows sharing meals with imprisoned creatures. He looks puzzled and a little tense against the background of a lot of question marks. In a cafe, several characters are sitting at tables. One of them is talking, and the rest are busy eating and talking. She smiles and says goodbye, saying, "See you soon." He said with a slight hesitation that everything was fine, sitting in a room with two unusual creatures in the background. A group of 6 people, including a girl with pink hair and a man in a blue shirt, are sitting in a cafe with large windows facing the sunset. He looks at her, and she is silent, expressing surprise and bewilderment. He smiles and says that he will explain the whole Guanning system later because it is a long story. She smiles and offers to order first, holding the menu in the cafe in her hand. He looks at the menu and says he wants to see what dishes are there. He swallowed his saliva in alarm and thought that there were too many zeros in the number. He is sitting at a table in a cafe with a knife and fork in his hands, making sounds like music. She gently touched the fiery creature, which responded with a heart in a cloud above her head. The waitress asks if they want to make an order, and the girl lists the selected dishes, while the guy silently looks at the menu. Meat and side dishes shine on the table, creating a delicious and festive atmosphere. The heroes look in surprise at the bright explosion, and one of them exclaims that he is amazed at what he saw. He is masked and sighs heavily at a table where a girl with blue horns and another character with a yellow head are sitting. He sweats nervously, and she asks if they should run away after dinner or not. The woman informs the man that the amount is 37,000 yuan. She suggested that her brother do it herself, explaining that she had saved up some secret money. He said with relief that they were safe, and she covered her mouth thoughtfully against the pink background with white circles. She admires the beauty of the night city, and he looks at her with interest. She enthusiastically says that now she can become stronger and defeat everyone. He thinks about the money and thinks that it might be too late to take assignments now. He and she walk down the street, hearing someone laughing and praising someone's punch. The four-armed monster shows off his strength in the ring, and the man with the belt watches on as the crowd cheers and considers him invincible. The four-armed mutant of the second stage lets out an ominous laugh as it prepares to attack. The host with a microphone addresses 4 men at the ring, and one of them looks tense and is preparing for a fight. He asked him if he felt confident, and the other man said that he was confident, ready for pure hand-to-hand combat and public entertainment. He says with a smile that he is not afraid and is ready for the upcoming test. The system confirms that the four-armed monster is rank 3, stage 1, and the current rock guest is rank 2, stage 9, and decides to level it up for safety. He stretches out his hand to the other, and a luminous energy contact occurs between them. He is wearing armor with horns surrounded by red flames, and the system reports an upgrade of his rank to stage 3 with spent and remaining achievement points. She asks in surprise how this could have happened, expressing shock and bewilderment. He assumed that someone just ate a good meal while talking to her in the background of people passing by. She happily raises her fist in the air, and he looks ahead with a smile, as if supporting her enthusiasm. The host with a microphone announces the fight. A huge monster stands next to it, and 2 spectators watch what is happening in the ring. He stands next to a stone creature with red hair, watching the crowd, and thinks about it. He shouts into the microphone, asking in surprise if the other person wants to join the death ring. He has pink hair and horns and looks away, serious and focused. A monster with red eyes laughs viciously at a man with red hair who is looking up at him. A tattooed man warns a young man that his four-armed monster may accidentally kill his small creature. He smiles and encourages everyone to give it their all. He asks the other person to sign and seal the document. He's holding a microphone and loudly announcing the start of the match. He is preparing to strike at a large blue monster with red eyes and sharp teeth. The red-haired man falls backward, dodging a swift blow from a blue creature with claws. A masked character with red hair rushes forward rapidly, creating a sense of speed and power. The huge creature delivers a powerful kick to a small opponent rising into the air. Wearing a horned suit of armor, he strikes sharply, surrounded by red flashes and dynamic movement. He abruptly grabbed and snatched the object from the other's hands, accompanying the action with a loud sound. A dark warrior with red eyes and horns strikes at a huge blue creature that expresses surprise. A creature with horns forcefully threw another into the abyss, destroying rocks and a bridge. A rock with red spikes breaks the ground, creating a deep crack. The image shows a destroyed section of the floor with cracks and broken stones. He says with a smile that his four-armed monster may not know any special skills. He watches the red-haired fighter fight the four-armed creature and thinks that the rules clearly favor the monster. A monster with red eyes and sharp teeth raises its hand against a bright red light. The monster with red eyes and horns attacks swiftly, making an ominous sound. A monster with red eyes raises its fists to strike at another creature with horns that tries to dodge. Someone reacts sharply to a sudden event, expressing surprise with 2 exclamation marks. A powerful explosion or impact occurs, accompanied by bright flashes and dynamic movement. She looks worried as she watches the 2 men having fun chatting and holding a bottle in their hands in the background of the crowd. He speculates that if Rock Goose in his undead form could use skills, he could easily handle such a brute. He reflects that the rules do not allow the use of force, because the opponent with 4 hands is clearly stronger in a fight. He speculates that Rock Ghost will either open a new form in danger or be killed by the 4-armed monster, referring to Guo Xin's words. He asks if the other person is really fighting at full strength. He asked if they would always rely on the Snow Maiden to ensure victory. He steps on a red-haired head lying on the floor among the rocks. He delivers a powerful punch to the stomach of a huge monster with red eyes and spikes on its back. A dark silhouette with red eyes and a fiery mane activates the ghost form, which increases speed by 300% and reduces defense by 100% for 60 seconds. He notices the unexpected transformation, explaining that the stone armor on the body can be reset depending on the situation on the battlefield. The red-haired man attacks the blue monster, and the man with a grin says that he still hasn't learned his lesson. The horned creature quickly disappears, leaving a trail of light on the floor. He is terrified and sweating, expressing intense fear and tension. He suddenly attacks the monster with 3 eyes, stabbing it hard in the back. A creature with red eyes delivers a powerful punch in the ring in front of the audience, creating a wind effect from the movement. The red character deals a powerful blow to the blue creature, knocking it back with force and a bright flash. He lets out a sinister laugh, his eyes glowing red in the dark. The creature with red eyes suddenly feels intense pain and is surprised by what is happening. He shouts Rock Ghost to stop playing and finish off the opponent while the remaining time is displayed on the screen. 10 seconds. A dark character with red eyes and hair swiftly attacks the blue one with horns, preparing to strike from above. One of the characters uses a lightning charge attack, dealing a powerful blow to the enemy, causing an explosion and throwing it back. The character reached rank 3, stage 4, and received the lightning charge ability in the form of a ghost general, after which the ghost general form ended. The host announces the winner, standing next to the defeated huge creature in the arena. He reacts with surprise and tension to the insult 4-armed freak and expresses bewilderment. A group of men listen as one of them explains that this guy broke the rules and used a prohibited weapon. He shouts into the microphone, explaining that the player's pet has used a skill or spell. She claims that dropping armor doesn't count as a spell as long as the 2 men listen carefully and think about what they're saying. A man in boxing gloves offered to have another one-on-one fight, saying that if he won, the prize money would go to him. He looks at me with a crazy expression, preparing to say something. He says that the other person wants to do something, expressing determination or challenge. He holds the microphone vigorously and says that this contestant really wants a real challenge. The crowd cheers for the former kickboxing champion, and one of the spectators calls for the fight to begin. He said that she had already won by touching a sharp object in front of her in a lighted room. He looks away with red eyes and hair, exuding an ominous atmosphere. The host announces that if he defeats Barebone, he will be able to collect the prize, and the latter prepares for the fight with a grin. He smiled and nodded towards the girl who was standing in the distance watching him. He prepares for battle with confidence, radiating powerful energy around him. At night in the city, someone asks Jinyi if she really believed that guy. He and she are walking down the street in the evening. She starts a conversation, and he listens without looking away. He said worriedly that she didn't know him and didn't want her to get hurt. With her eyes closed, she declares that she will decide her own affairs while he stands behind her and listens. He hides around the corner and watches as a girl with pink hair stands against a wall on a deserted street. He swears that he will definitely surpass Ling Ji while standing in the dark alley by the building. He turned around and said he'd be right back, walking away towards the street with a determined look on his face. A dark creature asks who will save him while sitting next to a girl in a blue dress on the street. He sharply delivers a powerful kick and orders to get out of his way. The silhouette moves quickly and delivers a powerful punch, accompanied by a bright flash and the sound of impact. He worriedly asks if she is okay, supporting her as she lies on the ground. He holds a girl in his arms and asks what ferocious beasts live in this world, while another stands on the roof of a building at night. He protects her in the basement when a dark figure appears from the shadows, causing them shock and fright. Wearing a hooded cape, he says, "Fierce creature," and prepares for action in the dark street. He with white hair and a hood asks who identified it, smiling in the dark room. A masked man asks another man if he is ready for the express train, standing in front of him in a dark alley. He's wearing a hooded cape and giving a thumbs up as he stands in front of a dark creature with red lines, as if preparing for action. A dark creature with bright red eyes explains that domestic animals live longer than humans, but some stop obeying after the owner dies. Tang-en summons the creature and declares that he will not allow its power to be used to harm people. The hooded man asks if the other person is Tang Yang. He asked in surprise if the other person knew his grandfather's name. He's wearing a raincoat and trying to protect the small creature from an approaching shadow with red eyes and claws. It directs energy from the fingers to the heart of the red-eared creature, causing a bright glow and a tense atmosphere. The red-horned wolf makes a loud sound, surrounded by a bright energy aura. A dark creature with red eyes releases a powerful energy ball surrounded by bright pink light and an explosion. He was surprised to see a creature with a bone staff suddenly appear in front of him. He said he wasn't going to look for them, but since they had come to him, he would have to meet them now. He is alarmed to realize that the situation is becoming dangerous and tense. He holds a staff and confronts a huge demon with glowing red eyes and purple flames that is preparing to attack. She stands in front of the building and expresses bewilderment by asking a question. The crowd supports Sungu, urging him to show what he can do. She reacts in surprise to what she hears in an empty room. He stands with his back to the light, in a room with an industrial interior. She screams loudly, and the other, with a determined expression, says that she can do it. Two girls react in surprise to something. One of them says, "Yan?" He says that in 3243, he defeated the heavyweight Leilong from Sakura country and won the Jiangning Free Fight Championship 3 years in a row. He explains that the average human constitution score is in the range of 2 to 4. It evaluates someone and thinks that this person is probably between levels 4 and 8. He sweats with a grin as he looks at the blue-jacketed man standing in front of him, who is silently watching him in the hall with the crowd in the background. He said with a grin that he would let the opponent strike first. He stands in a hall with a crowd, and another with his eyes closed says that he will not fight. He loudly demands to be looked at while standing in front of another man with dark hair. He delivers a powerful blow to the face of the opponent, which causes him to bleed. He strikes a powerful blow at the enemy who tries to dodge against a background of bright blue light and sparks. The man hit the ground hard, throwing debris into the air while the other three watch in surprise and wariness. He's lying on the floor with his eyes closed and a look of pain on his face. He asks in shock what happened and reports that Xionggu was defeated in one blow. Two girls happily give each other a high five on the background of bright pink light. Two girls with pink hair look at each other with surprise and tension. Two girls stand with their backs to each other with their eyes closed and arms crossed, expressing displeasure or resentment. He shouts for them to wait, explaining that he hasn't announced the start yet, and another stands with his hands in his pockets on the stage in front of the crowd. He looks straight ahead with a serious expression, his eyes glowing yellow, creating a tense atmosphere. He smiles nervously and sweats while holding the microphone, as if trying to hide his excitement before the performance. They announce that the winner is Lin Zi, who stands in the background of a bright light. He checks his phone and informs them that they now have money for a hotel for the night, while the others listen to him. He stands with the phone, and two girls run up to him, one of them exclaiming, addressing him as a brother. She touched his arm in greeting, and he looked at her calmly, surrounded by people. She said thoughtfully that their relationship wasn't that close. She winks and shows a Victoria sign as she communicates with the person next to her. She waves her hand in greeting and says that she wants to introduce herself again. She explains that she has come to help awaken his unique soul power. He asked her about the exclusive soul power, looking at her with interest. She confidently says that if you consider her a friend, she can help. A group of 6 people is standing in the square, and one of them says it's a quiet place to talk. The image shows an empty modern lobby with large windows and a revolving door with no visible characters. Two girls sit on opposite sides of the bed, one of them thinking about how they all ended up in the same room. He said it was time to start, addressing the pink-haired girl who was looking at him in the room. She explains that since the age of 7, she has an ability called perception, which allows you to feel things that are inaccessible to ordinary people. She enthusiastically says that such a power exists and it is amazing. And the other smiles and scratches the back of her head. She looks ahead thoughtfully and begins to speak. He stands with his eyes closed in a room with wooden walls and a wardrobe in the background. He and she are facing each other. She has lowered her eyes, and he is looking at her in silence. She decides to trust the other person and agrees to follow the right path. She thinks her heart is beating too fast and tries to focus while he looks at her. A large, abstract figure with a polka dot pattern appears against the background of bright iridescences and glowing particles, creating an atmosphere of mysticism and mystery. The image shows a blue glow with the text, "This is," logically creating an atmosphere of mystery without visible characters. It is surrounded by a bright blue light, as if it is made of ice or energy, making a powerful sound. He asked about the merger, and she confirmed that it was so. She's focused on explaining that she can only sense vague information. She explains something by gesturing, and he reacts in surprise. She confidently replied, "Of course," in response to a question from another character who is looking at her intently. Her eyes are wide open, filled with bright light. She stares with wonder and tension. She stands at the bottom and stares in surprise at the horned figure surrounded by many similar creatures. A dark creature with a red eye looks at a bright pink object with sharp edges, creating a tense and mysterious atmosphere. She suddenly stumbled and screamed, and the other asked what was wrong. She stiffly explains that it's just a black something, without elaborating. She reflects on her bad feeling about the shadows, and admits that she still has a long way to go, deciding not to tell anyone about it. She sits on the edge of the bed, feeling a little tired. She smiles and winks, raising her hand against the bright colors. The three characters hold hands, and she thanks them for letting her stay. He lies in bed between two girls who have turned away from him in different directions, and says nothing. He lies there with a strained smile, thinking about his problems, sweating with excitement. He says the word fusion, and reflects that it's time for Rock Ghost and Snow Maiden to learn how to work together. He ponders the need to activate their exclusive soul technique as soon as possible while standing in the empty corridor. The three walk to a stately building under a red banner that says, "Welcome new students." A crowd moves along the corridor, and someone announces that the results of the distribution by class have already been published, and another asks to show them. A group of people carefully looks at the screen with data divided into 4 parts, discussing the next batch. He's glad they're in the same class again, and she says it's great, and someone laughs softly. She happily declares that she is also in the 1st grade, raising her hand against the bright multicolored light. He called her by name, and she reacted in surprise, and a man sitting in the distance asked if it was Tang-en. He reacts with a bandage on his head in surprise, expressing bewilderment. He reported that he encountered the cunning people while the group was standing in a room with an arched window and a lamp on the wall. Tang-en says, "Class 2," with a serious expression in the background of the sky with clouds. He stands stiffly with a bandaged arm, while another man in a white raincoat silently watches him in a room with large windows. He gritted his teeth and raised his head, feeling a lot of pain and internal tension. He walks away, blindfolded, and she stares after him, not saying a word. She happily announced that they had also passed the test, addressing the 2 women in front of her. She smiles and talks about better treatment while the other one watches her from behind. In a room with large windows, someone says it's probably them. The text breaks off. He explains that he will be leading the cultivation for 3 years, and that they have many classes to attend at will. She sits at the desk next to him, and he tells the class not to stop cultivating. She looks away thoughtfully, and he scratches his chin, trying to start a conversation. He explains that there is one special person in the class by showing 2 fingers. He explains that behind the school building is a special virtual battle hall that can accommodate thousands of students at once. She explains that in the virtual system, they will encounter not only the students of their school, but also all the beastmasters of the Federation. Golos explains that an increase in the rating brings not only great rewards, but also an important impact on the player's position. He is thinking about the need to quickly improve Gasta's rock to catch up with the Snow Maiden's level. He stands in front of the 2 creatures by the couch, preparing for a conversation or action. He points his finger emphatically and says something important to emphasize his point. He and she are standing in a room, and a message appears on the screen about a failed merge due to a level mismatch.